Hello and welcome to Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022. Welcome back. We are here with the Top Cut Day 2. How you guys feeling today, Toku?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am feeling great. I am so excited to bring to everyone the top 8 and the commentary for the top 8. I do know that they have some very interesting decks for you guys, and I do hope that we are able to show them off. Peter, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'm excited for this. Just as you mentioned, so many interesting decks. Personally, big Bruce fan, but also quite a few other decks that I'm a fan of in here. And maybe we'll see one of those Cinderella stories in a way, like we saw with EU, where Greedon won that. That'll be pretty cool.
That would
But
be pretty cool.
pretty sure that we've also got to talk about our format, which, most of us will probably know, but for any new viewers to the stream, we are talking about the standard format of Cardfight Vanguard. So that means anything with the D symbol at the bottom left corner. So always be sure to check there on your cards to make sure you're playing the right ones. And for our schedule today and tomorrow and for next weekend, we've got for today and tomorrow, or not today and tomorrow, yesterday and today, we've got standard for Swiss yesterday and top 8 today. So we're getting into the most high quality matches of the weekend right now. But then next weekend, we also have Weiss Schwarz, because this is not just a Vanguard event series. Bushiroad Rumble Online is a series for all currently produced Bushiroad games. So if you're a fan of Weiss Schwarz, if you love anime, you should definitely check out that tournament as well and the stream. But without further ado, Toku, how about you get into what these players are competing for?
Alright, so we now have our top 8, but only the top 4 will be getting the much coveted prizing. The fourth place winner will get a certificate of their accolades to show to their parents, their grandparents, their children, their grandchildren when they grow up about how they topped in Bureau 2022. In third place, also gets that same certificate, but they get one booster display as well as one PR Trick Moon. And second place, to go with that nice second place, we get one extra copy of that Trick Moon to make one booster display as well as a certificate. And for the Grand Champion, first place will get a full playset of that PR Trick Moon, and one booster display as well as that certificate. So these are the prizing that our top 8 will be fighting for. Now, who are our top 8, you may ask? Let's go ahead and once again review the bracket.
Okay, so here's the top 8 bracket. So we are starting off with Adrian and Barber with facing the Gumi guy, and after that, Peter, what's the next one?
We also do have Kisa and G. Kisa actually coming from Chile, so pretty long distance right here. So it'll be an interesting match to watch for sure. There will also be, Toku, could you take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. I have my brother, my Vietnamese brother, Kogze, versus Donovan TX8. This is going to be a hard one for me because I do know what Donovan is playing, and I am rooting for that deck to win, but I also got to rep the homie. And Orange, take us home.
We also have Lou versus Yusha MT, and that is our top 8. Very exciting stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and start discussing the top 8 decks. Let's see what we are seeing here today. Starting with deck 1, let's go into it.
We've got the Gumi guy playing Kyrie, featuring now the brand new Grade 4 from the second Illyricum Monasterio set. We got a sneak peek of what this deck could do in a small glimpse of a game we had on stream, but Orange, I know that you are friends with another popular Kyrie player, so how much do you know about this deck?
It's quite a lot. It does sound like a lot, but pretty much this deck is very aggro once it hits turn 4. It's a lot of bouncing, a lot of defense, lots of early aggression you can do, and we are running a little bit of a tech here. Got the Grade 2 order to kind of help with some defense options, as I do think this deck sometimes does lack, because it is overdressed and there's 5k shields, pretty much more than 10k shields like in the format, so having that little order tech does help.
Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at our second deck then. We've got my kind of pet pet deck here. Donovan TX8 playing Bastion. With the new Bastion Prime and the newly restricted Dark Strange, we do no longer see. Instead, using that new order, Pride to Protect, to give that similar effect to what we wanted, being able to use our grade 3s for boosting. One of my favorite things to note here is that Donovan is running both Alden and Lagreal. Alden is just too strong of a card to skip up, and Lagreal does give that extra bit of pressure on those extra drive checks. Peter, what do you know about this deck?
I do know that this deck is very scary, and in addition to that Pride to Protect, there is one other order in this deck, and that is Form Up, O Chosen Knights, which allows your Vanguard to get an extra drive check and give something power, which is pretty terrifying, honestly, because Bastion Prime already has triple drive, so getting that extra drive check on top of that means that you can get your quad drive, and if you get quad drive and you no-guard that, then you might just lose on the spot. So, especially with that 7 crit lineup, gotta be careful. But speaking of being careful,
let's go ahead and take a look at our third deck that we will be seeing today. We've got Yusha MT playing what we saw already in Estes Kyrie, with the new Grade 4, with the new Grade 2 Lyrical Monasterios, with the new Set 2 Lyrical Support. Not too much else to add on unless you see certain texts here that I fail to recognize, Orange.
Very similar deck. This one does run a little bit less shield. The other deck had like the other card that also kind of gives help us a little with shield. So we are seeing that. I also don't see any Persona Rise. They are very driven on seeing the grade 4 pretty much as soon as possible. A little bit different, but mainly the same type of approach.
That's pretty much what we're seeing here, and hopefully they are going to be able to represent this deck very well. Let's go ahead and jump right into our fourth deck. We've got G playing that very coveted, very well-known Gravidia World with the Grade 1 and Grade 2 from the Orphis line to get us that Shadow token, and then we go straight into Gravidia. We look to get those big Meteor board wipes, but of note to mention is the inclusion of Bulbamine this time, where a lot of the previous decks we've seen did not run Bulbamine. So, we did see that Kogze did get punished by Adrian with the resource denial. I wonder if that same thing will happen to G, since G does have that Bulbamine to play with. Peter, give me your thoughts on this.
I do think that this is interesting as well, because going for Bulbamine instead of things like, for example, Gravidia Peters, or the Gravidia Grade 1 that actually, when it boosts an attack that hits, it lets you send meteors back, does mean that this is probably playing for more of a fast game, trying to just end it as soon as possible, as opposed to just trying to grind it out and maybe just win off of pure attrition. So this will be interesting to see. I do also see a more aggressive trigger lineup, so I think that sort of lines up.
Yep. I like the style of this deck a little bit more, just maybe for the counter charger. I think Bulbamine does really well in a deck like this.
Yeah, I have to agree as well. Just the fact that because we have that order that does use one of our very precious counterblasts just to get that token out, just to have that extra bit of pressure, I think including the Bulbamine this time around is something that is very smart and hopefully is what takes G farther and farther. But let's go ahead and take a look at the fifth deck for our top 8. And we've got Kisa once again representing Tamayura. We did see Kisa in the first show match for you guys yesterday. We saw that very well-timed offensive overtrigger. But what I want to see from Kisa is Kisa being able to get both of the twins into the soul as soon as possible to put on the pressure as soon as possible. Yes, we did see the dragon coming out, being able to put a lot of good pressure and good power distribution onto the rear guards. But the main lines is to get that 5 attacks with the Rara and Riri and get some free intercepts out. Orange, what do you think?
You pretty much kind of covered it all. This is very into the whole, you just get all your stuff out as soon as possible, kind of get the soul going so that way you can have a 5 attack turn. We kind of saw that a little bit yesterday. We even saw like the overtrigger kind of playing into multi-attacking, into even war attacks. So it's just interesting to see how Tamayura works, that she is not a once per turn card. So overall, I'm very excited to see where this takes us. Tamayura is definitely a very strong competitor, and not surprising to see it at the top 8.
Yeah, what about you, Peter? Do you have any thoughts on this deck list we see so far? Maybe some attacks and options that like are more prevalent in the other decks, like the Fushi Machimaruka, that is so prevalent in the other Dragon Empire decks. Maybe the lack of retire is a good reason as to why we don't see it here.
I think it's interesting actually that, well, using that Eugene card, because I have seen quite a few builds will just go for other options. Usually, there's like that one flex spot that a lot of builds for Tamayura have, and it seems like for this one it's going for that Eugene grade 1 that calls itself out from Soul, or can send itself to Soul, which means that you can help fuel that Blitz Order, which the Blitz Order is something to consider because it's scary to get that off because it sort of just hinders the offense of the opponent for the entire turn.
Mm-hmm. And with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at our 6th deck for our top 8. And we've got Liu playing Gravidia Order as well, Gravidia World. Now, there's an interesting set of cards here that I'm actually not super familiar with. We know the Meteors, we know the Shadow Token pieces, but I'm seeing some interesting grade 2s here. Peter, what do you know about these cards?
Yeah, this is definitely got that grade 2 is one that I actually very rarely see people play. You can actually search your deck for a meteor if it hits, and if you do that, you then shuffle. Obviously, whenever you search, you pretty much always would have to, but the fact that you can sort of accelerate how fast you could get your meteors out is very helpful, because that means that, say you call this out turn 2, you could just get some rush in and get some pressure in as well at the same time.
Yep. And they're also running the countercharger, which is not very commonly seen because normally you want to not have against mirror matches. You normally don't want to have a board. You want to have 3 on the board for the grade 3. So it's interesting to see that the choice was this countercharger over like the other countercharging options.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe also one thing is that it might be because it's Soul Blast. So that the fact that you Soul Blast instead means that you can then maybe get
against
more.
Prison.
Yeah, Soul Blasting against Prison can be very helpful. And then, say you get like a lot of meteors in your drop zone, you can help sort of accelerate Baku Burrito's ability to get those meteors back.
I just realized
I like
something.
it.
It's on attack or boost, so pretty much what this nice about this that refunds Gravidia's cost. I think I'm realizing where the interaction is happening. But what mine is at the end of battle, this is on attack or boost.
Very nice. All right, hopefully Liu is able to demonstrate its skill for us in the upcoming games. But let's go ahead and take a look at our 7th deck.
Ooh,
And here we have the boy Kagze with another Gravidia list. Not too much else to talk about. The only difference between what we see here is the Peters and the other grade 2. Peters being used for some on-hit pressure and also some deck recycling. And I do believe the grade 2 does something similar as well.
Yes. Yeah, the grade 2 because he sent back meteors to deck to essentially avoid decking out. And there's no countercharger in this deck, though, which I think might be a little troublesome if we happen to see any mirror matches today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing we saw in the last round of Swiss from not having any countercharge was you can get damage denied as well.
Yep.
The damage are now coming up huge. Not being able to get that extra bit of pressure on that swing, not being able to get that 15,000, not being able to get that extra crit really made the difference in the offensive power that it was able to make. And then let's go ahead and take a look at our 8th and final deck for our top 8 players for this tournament. It is Adrian Barber on the Bruce. It's the Bruce we all know and love. It's all got that final rush support, all at 4 copies. Something I love to see with the consistency. Adrian Barber also showing off that new Fighters Collection heal trigger to great value as well. Peter, what else can you tell us about this deck?
Now, this is a newer variant of Grade 4 Bruce, so a lot of Bruce builds were either going for Grade 3 Bruce with a more similar main deck to this, or for a Grade 4 build that was built more around Brainwash, Swirler, and Pandemonium tactics. But this is actually going for the mostly main deck of Grade 3 Bruce, that is more based around clearing the opponent's board a little bit easier, punishing the opponent for getting a lot of cards on the board, but also having just a less counterblast reliant and less piece reliant game plan than Grade 4 Bruce, because Grade 4 Bruce is a bit more volatile in terms of like when you win hard, but when you lose, it feels terrible to lose. So this is more one of those decks that has a more consistent mid game in terms of like if it has its like high roll, it's feeling good. If it's low rolling or going sort of like a medium, it still feels fine. And that's the big thing. Consistency is king.
What about you, Orange? What stands out to you about this list here?
Honestly, Megan. I honestly, when I read the card, I never really felt that she was going to be a card that was going to actually be relevant in decks. So seeing her pop up over like, other options and stuff like that has been really interesting for me to watch because a lot of people play that other grade two that like Caraboss brings stuff out of Soul and all this stuff. But seeing Megan and she's actually been doing really well. Like I've been watching her in action and I'm like, man, this card's actually pretty good. So to me, it's definitely been that card. I feel like other stuff has been kind of the same. You have your grade fours, you have your Lenards, you have your Derricks, you have your Marjories, but seeing Megan actually showing action has been definitely the biggest like surprise to me.
Yeah, Marjorie for sure. Definitely one of the major role players in Bruce since his induction. Not only does it serve as a very strong attacker, it serves as a way to like keep your resources very healthy as well. And we've also got that Hellblast Full Dive, one of the key cards as well. In the deck like this, where you don't actually Persona Ride at all, having that extra 10k to the front to act as a Persona Ride is very welcome. It does make some very good numbers. It makes your first Marjorie swing at 23 turn into a 33, which is a lot harder to guard than just with a single trigger. And then the same thing with Megan, the same thing with being able to make your Vanguard just that much bigger. So I think there's a lot that I like about this list, and I'm hoping that Adrian will be able to show it off as well.
I do think also, just a side note as well, one thing that's also nice, the usage of Dober also makes it so that the deck is not quite as reliant on hitting your Hellblast Full Dive as a traditional grade 4 Bruce list is reliant on hitting a Pandemonium Tactics, where without it you kind of lose if you don't hit Pandemonium Tactics. With this, doesn't matter if you hit your order, you still have alternative ways to get your power buff, make your numbers more threatening, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Now, we've seen our top 8. We see a lot of Gravidia World. I'm not sure about any mirror matches in our bracket yet, if you guys remember, but what are you expecting to come out of the top 8 and into our top 4? I'm hoping that I do see Donovan take it home with the Bastion. Definitely want to see Bastion get some more reps in, even after getting that Dark Strain hit. We do have that Pride to Protect order as a very good alternative option. Orange, give me your takes.
Personally, from what I saw, I expect to see Gravidia and probably Kyrie do the best. Like if we're gonna, logically speak, but it is overdress and anything can happen. I would like to see Tomohiro be more represented. So that'd be like a fun deck to see kind of push through. But
sure.
I would be surprised if Gravidia and Gravidia and Kyrie don't make it into like the top 2 slots, maybe top 3 slots. But that's my personal take on it. What about you, Peter?
I do think that one thing to consider as well is that Adrian Barber did go undefeated in Swiss. So
True.
the fact that he did so well with a deck that most people were not really expecting to do that well this tournament shows that like this deck, like this format has a lot of untapped potential, because we saw there were a lot of times where there were very good plays made in addition to like it's not all just checking the right triggers at the right time. You also do have like opportunities to make those small decisions that can pile up over time to turn into one big decision that helps.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and it's something like I like to call riding the high. Adrian's probably on that very, very strong mentality right now, having gone through Swiss clean, just like you said, but also seeing the fruition of, or seeing the rewards of his fruition and his hard work, especially in the games like we said, setting up and like master planning, basically knowing what needs to happen, what the opponent needs to do, and seeing it all come to fruition probably makes him very, very much motivated to take it all the way home.
Yeah, especially because he got eliminated in AO in the top 4 against Suo from WCC. So he probably wants to get to the finals this time.
Before we go into the matches soon, just want to say, don't forget to do hashtag BRO 2022. We gotta get that stuff in, get all your info in, your tops, whatever, all that kind of good stuff. If you're making it through, showcase your love over on hashtag BRO 2022. And whatever it is, we're here to read it. We can talk about it, all that kind of stuff. I want to throw that out there before we go into the matches.
Yeah, if you got a banger tweet, post it to the hashtag BRO2022 and we will share it live on stream with you guys. Now, I do have word that we are just about ready to start, so let's go ahead and bring you the first match of our top 8 in Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022. We have Lou on Gravidia and Yusha on Kyrie. So, Orange, kind of like what you said, this is what you kind of expected to see in the finals, or at least the top semifinals. How do you think this matchup is going to go? Because Kyrie, like we said, pretty borderline. You're going to be like resetting your board a lot, trying to get a lot of board pressure with the multi-attacks. Do you think Gravidia here would be like happy to play into it, knowing that they get extra value out of their meteors, or does Kyrie plus enough to not care about replacing their board each turn?
Honestly, depending on how the Kyrie player plays it out, you can actually bounce a very certain way to where you'll avoid having the 3 retire happen all the time, which will kind of help at least get that crit to not go off, off the Burbadock, I think it's called. But with that being said, avoiding that is probably the best thing. But because Kyrie draws pretty much as fast as Gravidia does, they both kind of have a similar approach. And because of that, I actually think Kyrie will come on top, because Kyrie has more normal units that can play and kind of more steam that'll keep going, whereas the Gravidia player needs to be very careful how they play out their turns, because once they're out of steam, they can't tempo as quickly, whereas Kyrie will just keep going.
What about you, Peter? What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I think, yeah, this definitely could be very dangerous for Yusha if he doesn't play it carefully. But another thing to consider is that Lou had to mulligan 4 cards, so might not have the best hand right now, possibly. So that's another thing to consider, especially when you're like, okay, I see my opponent had to put away a lot of cards. Maybe I can play off of that. Maybe see, okay, you might not have the ideal hand. Try and call their bluff.
I think usually in this type of matchup, as a Gravidia player, you want to rush down Kyrie. So it's possible that was a heavy mulligan for like actual units, since Kyrie can't retire them anyway. So it would be smart here to try and push. I would push, because Kyrie, if they don't make it to grade 4, they do absolutely nothing. So if you can just kill them before that happens, and you know, you can just win the game there. So they did go second here though, or no, they went first here, so which is even more so makes it easier for Gravidia to just try and blow out the Kyrie player before the Kyrie player gets a chance to actually reach for grade 4. They pretty much have 2 great Gravidia turns to do this, so you might as well start pushing early.
For sure. And one thing to note as well, Yusha being able to rush because of Kyrie just calling out stuff for effectively free can definitely help in this matchup as well, because you can sort of maybe go for a similar game plan to what Adrian did of trying to damage deny after baiting out a usage of the meteors. Keep Lou at like 2 damage, and then afterwards go, okay, I don't really mind you hitting me with 1 turn of meteors, but now that you have used that, no more.
And here we might see that aggression that Orange was alluding to, being able to use that 1 counterblast that we were given to call out that shadow token. And with that shadow token, we are going to be hopefully able to put Yusha through the grinder here. We do drive check a meteor, which is good to have at least in hand to be able to use. Ideally, you want to do kind of like keep those in the deck, use them as discard fodder for the ride line. But something that we can discard as we get into Gravidia on the next turn.
It's a very smart play here. So he actually Lou swung into that little power gainer right there, and it's really well played, because honestly, those cards get ramp up really fast. You don't want Kyrie to keep bouncing those cards, which is what would happen here on the grade 2. Kiara bounces cards back. So very smart to go into that and just get rid of it, so that lowers the power and lowers the shield value that you need to drop for this upcoming rush that we're about to see Kyrie's going to present here.
For sure, because also one thing to consider is that giving Kyrie a lot of damage doesn't really matter as much, because they don't use very much for the most part. Pretty resource neutral of a deck in general, so just clearing the board early doesn't really matter, because then you can go, okay, well, I can just deal you a lot of damage on turn 2, or on turn 3, and then just keep going at it. Just not let you feel comfortable the entire time.
Yeah.
On the other hand, though, Yusha can also bounce the board, so...
Exactly. And I think that's the key thing here is, I personally, I like to rush this deck for that very reason, since their counterblasts don't matter anyway. You just kind of want to kill them. Like, the goal is to kill them. And here we have that bounce.
That's Gravidia's plan in general. You know, sort of that deck that where when you're using it, you sort of see red, and then you just wake back up at the end of the game and your opponent's at 6 damage. You're like, oh,
Yep.
okay, I won.
Exactly.
Oh,
So
actually
guarding.
choosing to guard right here. I think it's something I can definitely respect. Oh,
Does that
hopefully
hit?
not punished.
Don't know where that's going. That's the thing.
Well, no matter where it goes, if it
If
the
it was a
critical-
shadow token, it wouldn't pass.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. Shadow Token being that base 15k coming up clutch, but
But I don't know where it's going though. I can't tell.
yeah.
But it looks like they're
Oh,
afraid to give damage. It was going to Vanguard, yes, because I think that was a 2 to pass. No, it was 30. It was 30, and oh, that's right, because it had the ATK
Ooh,
booster.
and a crit.
Yep.
So given the 1 to pass, and being punished by that crit trigger right on the top there. But we are going to be able to hit our grade 3 turn first. We won't have a board to really wipe, but we do have a lot of counterblast to play with. And Gravidia on place is probably one of the strongest on places in the game at the moment. Just being able to thin your deck by 2, but also give you 2 new cards in hand to play with. Really opens up the toolbox, lets you kind of evaluate what you want to do as you go into your main step here.
Yeah, exactly. Very good analysis there, because like this deck just starts and turns on live the minute you hit grade 3, and going first is just really good because you could just keep going. And I will say, even though that crit was really important here, you know, there is a chance to double meteor here and just go back down to 2 damage.
Yeah.
For
Getting that like the meteor and then like the double effects to all of a sudden find a heal trigger, heal twice at once, find another heal trigger, heal all the way down to 0. That crit never really mattered, and now you're sitting very pretty, being able to soak up more damage as your opponent goes into their first grade 3 turn, probably their weakest turn, and then you have another chance of being able to just completely blow your opponent out of the game. But it looks like we're going to go straight into attacks here. Gonna swing with... actually going to be using our soul very liberally here. Getting the Soul Blast to countercharge and Gravidia to immediately counterblast that one down. Here's a question for you guys. Knowing that we might have a bunch of heals left in deck, and like we said, knowing that we could potentially go for that 2 heal, would you have saved your resources at this point, knowing that if you found a heal, you could have healed off 2 face-down damage rather than healing off 1 face-down and 1 face-up?
I think that would have been the right play, but Lou also might have a heal in hand and think, okay, I'm probably not going to be too likely to heal. I'm just going to go for trying to get that, like, maybe crit, because we do know that. I think Lou runs, 7 crit? 8 crit?
Oh, I was going to say also that grade 1 gains 5k power. It makes magic numbers with that 13k base plus the power that the Gravidia provides. I think the goal here is to try and blow up faster. So if opponent says 2 to pass versus 1 to pass, makes a difference here, since it is double.
Ooh, that's a good front trigger. That's a really
Kinda like that.
be a really big grade 3 Rigard attacking, but it's only got 1 crit, so no matter how big it is from that double front trigger, it's only ever going to do 1 damage. So that's a 1 damage you can happily take. Yusha might be thinking, alright, cool. That's a front trigger I don't have to deal with in the future turns. But that leaves crits in the decks for him to worry about.
That's
Exactly.
true. Also the over trigger, because if you can get that double effect again, you might just lose on the spot. Another thing to consider as well, because Lou used both copies of the double meteor, that means that since they bind themselves, those are 2 meteors you cannot get back. And so that means later turn Bakabritos are kind of dead in the water.
So notice here, something smart. They only called out 2 cards, and they're going to be bouncing those 2 cards. So essentially, if Gravidia decides to go for a 5 meteor play again, or even a 3 meteor play, or even a 1 meteor play, it doesn't matter. The value of the retire won't matter too much here. And this is good because pretty much Yusha's setting up for the grade 4 turn over applying too much pressure here.
One scary thing, though, is Yusha did not get to ride the grade 4. I know that a lot of Kyrie players, once they get to the opportunity to ride grade 4, they usually like to do that. So right now, we're seeing Yusha sort of playing to his outs.
Well, they drove check the grade 4 early on, so we'll be seeing it, but because they went second.
We'll see it. We'll see it
right.
next turn.
You're right.
Yeah, we'll see it in a turn. And there's another grade 4.
There's
in
another
case
grade 4.
in case there wasn't enough from the first turn. Now we have 2 in hand.
So I think in the same point that we're playing towards our out, I think what Liu wants to do here is maybe not even go for the 5 meteor play and just kind of go for like the 15 and crit, because we know that Yusha got a pretty weak drive check here. Try and bait out the PGs while you can, because even 15 and crit is scary, but no Persona Ride, just gonna go for whatever meteors we have here. It looks like, is that 5?
It is. No, that's 3.
That's
just
three.
3. Just 3.
Yeah. So
So going for the crit here, which is still, scary. I believe Yusha's at do 2 damage right now, so you still don't want to you don't want to take it too lightly.
yeah, because you don't want. If you hit an overtrigger here, you need a
It's
heal.
over.
Yeah, especially with how frequently we've been seeing the Brand Gate overtrigger this last tournament. Definitely one of the overtriggers of all time. Doubling the crit, I don't care about the power. Doubling the crit is like usually what ends the game so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's on the mat, It's right there.
Yeah, it's
That's
right
We're
there.
looking at it.
We're actually gonna just summon the overtrigger to the top now. It's Caster's Curse. I'm so sorry, Yusha. Okay.
But there it is. There's the heal, though.
I saw it triggered. I got kind of scared. Could have been a double heal. Could have been a double heal if it came a bit earlier.
Yep.
But since only using 3 meteors, they're there. So they. What's up?
That was not the right thing to heal there. There's a face down grade 2 meteor as the other face down damage.
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect thing to heal, because then that would have been an opportunity to be able to bring that back with the Baku Burrito.
That is true. You are correct there. Probably just nerves and stress going there, so it's okay. But yeah, I agree. You do work with your drop zone quite a bit, so you want to have the meters accessible in your drop. Something to note. I feel having these 2 attacks every turn is kind of rough. This is kind of what I brought up a little bit earlier. Gravidia has a lot less normal units, and we're kind of seeing this happen here. We actually did see finally something drive checked that's a unit of some kind, so we'll probably see 3 attacks next turn. But Kairi, on the other hand, can kind of just do her thing, right? Like, they're playing conservatively, but you can theoretically you have more steam in this kind of sense, because Gravidia is more focused on the Vanguard, whereas Kairi is more focused on the rear guards.
That's very true. Another thing to consider as well is that Lu is actually running 1 less normal unit than most Gravidia builds. Most Gravidia builds will run the 6 meteors.
Yes.
This runs 7 of the grade 1 meteor. So that does mean that there will be 1 less normal unit. And in addition to that, there's also less cards that gain power in this build. I know a lot of people will run other cards that maybe can gain power in their Gravidia world builds as like their grade 2 options. This does not.
I want to also note again, very smartly played, only playing kind of like half vanilla here, only not calling out boosters, only calling out 2 cards, which means every single time that the grade 3 Gravidia card get that one that gets the crits, it will never actually have the crit on it, because Yusha's playing in a very conservative way of like, hey, I'm not going to let you have that triple retire. It's just never going to happen, which is really good. It makes it so much easier to guard numbers and attacks when you don't have that extra crit pressure to worry about.
One thing that's also scary here is that because Yusha was able to use Melty's skill twice this turn, that's a +2 in card advantage. In addition, you get a lot of good, just general stuff going on here.
And
like good power from Kinky.
Yeah, I was about to say Kinky makes perfect magic numbers, making it 28, which is an amazing card. I absolutely love this card.
It reads very simple, but then when you realize like the fact that it makes that magic number in conjunction with live Kairi's plus 5k, it means a lot, especially since we also saw Liu use that front trigger on an earlier turn. That front trigger being able to 1-card guard that now, and in Liu's deck only playing 3 copies of it, means that Liu, in a deck that already has low shield value due to the amount of orders there, probably won't be able to 1-card guard this. But hey, defensive triggers do help in that situation there.
Exactly. Something I've noticed, we haven't seen Eileen, obviously because, there hasn't been a 3rd rear guard called yet for Yusha, but Eileen also is a good approach to kind of go through your deck a little bit better. But so because we saw that grade 4 early, I think Yusha's like, okay, well, I don't really need to know what my top card is anymore. I already have everything I need to kind of play my game.
Oh my goodness, I just realized another thing about Lu's build that's a little bit different from a lot. He's using the start deck perfect card instead of the DBTO1 perfect card. So that means that in the event that there's only 1 card in hand and it is the perfect card, can't do anything with it.
Yep. Playing V Premium in the overdress format.
Once again, not able to get Persona Ride. Once again, not being able to produce another attacker. And we are all out of meteors as well, so this is probably one of the most vanilla Gravidia Northern Gears turns we will probably be seeing.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if there's like a hand conservative going on, or it's because of soul. There's not enough soul there because if I'm not mistaken, the grade 3 is in hand. So I think what's going on is that there just isn't any soul, and now we have more in hand.
Okay. And now Yusha sees blood. Yusha sees blood. We do
Yep.
know that Liu has probably some orders, and we do know that Liu now has 3 copies of Baka Burrito in hand,
Yep.
at least 2 from those drive checks.
Yeah.
We know that Liu has nothing in terms of shield value. We just gotta go for game here.
Yep.
And hope for not a 6 damage overtrigger.
I think we're gonna spam the board here. I think that is the goal here. Spam the board, go for the multi-attack, and just try and win here. The hand is looking pretty healthy. This would be the time to just just go in for the kill, lose that 5 damage here, and yeah.
All right.
Yep, there's the Eileen that I'm pretty sure that's been being held off this entire time. There's the extra power, Friends Girl. We're about to see the full combo here, and all these cards are getting numbers, calling over to get even
I
more
like
numbers. Yep.
Just getting that extra 5k. Every bit of number helps here.
Yep.
Good. Also calling down the Larissa there, looking to make
And the dog.
friends.
The
Okay.
doggy's here to reset boosters.
This is gonna be a very powerful turn. If I'm Lou, I'm scared right now because also after checking 2 grade 3s, shield value
Yeah.
in Lou's hand is not looking great, especially because there's a very high likelihood that there's at least 1 order in there.
Yeah. All right, we're going. This is quite the turnaround here. Kind of wondering if that early soul blast for the counter charger is kind of what messed this up a little bit. We'll see here. That is game.
And that looks like, yeah, Liu just had to take that 6 damage, play on the 6 damage. There's no way that Liu would be able to guard those attacks with the amount of shield in their hand. And it looks like Kairi, despite going second on a deck built around its grade 4, was able to maneuver around what Gravidia wanted to do and take home the victory. Orange, what other thoughts do you have about that game? I was pretty fascinated by it.
It was definitely so. I think that early soul blast for the counter charger was what turned the game sideways a little bit because so we had that early drive check of that grade 3, the one that says soul blast put a meteor into your meteor zone, but because the soul blast was used on that grade 1, there was no longer any soul. And it is you know, when placed, you do the skill. So after that, the skill's gone. And because the Kyrie player outplayed the concept of having only 2 rear guards on the board the entire time, it was kind of hard to tempo out the meteors, especially in a world deck where you in general have less meteors. So I think what happened there was that 5 meteor play on the first grade 3 turn just really was not ideal with only 2 attackers, and maybe holding off a turn and not soul blasting and going so ham on that first turn is what kind of flopped the game. Because had the tempo been a little better with the meteors, I think that game could have been played a little bit differently.
I think also one thing to consider: we did not see any heals at all on.
We saw heals.
We did.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, but we actually saw a heal. We saw a heal go off on each side once. The
okay,
Gravidia
that's
player
what it was.
healed once, and then because the Gravidia player healed, Kyrie actually healed as well.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so we saw 1 heal on Lou's side, and we didn't see overtrigger on either side actually, not even to guard with. So for all we know, those decks could have been quite filled with opportunities to heal still left. So maybe Lou was banking on that, thinking, okay, I want to conserve some hand because it also looked like Lou's hand in terms of like just guard value in general wasn't the greatest.
Yeah. Looks like they were kind of missing out on some normal units there, or something's going on with the rear guard attacking there early, and maybe that's why that mulligan was so heavy that you mentioned at the very beginning. Like maybe they only had triggers, only meteors, and were trying to find like some attackers. Because that situation looks like there needed to be 3 attacks every turn, and we didn't see 3 attacks a single turn from Gravidia.
And I also want to say, like, it also feels like they were almost baited to use that early meteors by giving them so much counterblast. It puts them into that pressure, maybe sometimes. It'd be like, oh, I'm going to use up all my meteors now. That way when I do get that heal trigger, I get extra value off of it. Or I'm going to use all the meteors now because I want to catch up in damage. And because of that, when the time came for a better usage of the meteors or a better usage of the soul to get the counter charge, it just wasn't there anymore. And we saw it similarly to how Adrian was able to kind of bait Kogze in the last round. Use your meteors early. I'm going to bet that you don't have your Persona ride, therefore you won't be able to get more meteors back into the order zone. And kind of the same story on both sides. Gravidia is probably one of the decks that are most reliant on the Persona ride. Yes,
100%.
its initial grade 3 ride is very strong, being able to draw 2, filter the deck by 2, but once you start not being able to find those Persona rides, you really start dwindling down, because outside of your 2 drive checks and your 1 draw per turn, you don't really have any other ways outside of the initial draw 2 from Gravidia to find more copies of Gravidia. And apart from that, I think capitalizing on that weakness is probably what a lot of players have started to pick up on.
Yep. No, I 100% agree. I think that's kind of just how Gravidia is, because it's a 3-attack deck at the end of the day. And if you don't see the right pieces at the right time, or if you happen to hold too many meteors and don't see your personas in time, the deck kind of starts falling apart, and that's where you have to really mulligan carefully. Like, your mulligan is really, really important in this deck specifically. I think most mulligans are important in Overdress, but I feel Gravidia, because of your meteors / normal units / persona ride ratios are just such a big deal that you're willing to be careful how far you want to mulligan. Like, you don't want to mulligan in a way where you grab too many meteors. You want to mulligan in a way where you have too many triggers in hand. You kind of want to grab the right stuff and be able to rush down and still be able to have a normal game plan and have like attacks and stuff like that. So you have to be very cautious of those types of things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, also, I love that you mentioned about mulligans, because that's one of the things I like about the ride deck mechanic of the Overdress format, is that you actually have sort of you can go more aggressive with your mulligans than most other formats.
Yes.
Like, for example, Premium or V Premium. You do have to also consider, okay, when I'm mulliganing, my main priority is being able to ride up and then looking for pieces. But for Standard, you don't have to, like, mulligan for grades. You just mulligan for, okay, I want this card.
Yep, exactly. And that's really nice, not having to think
Yeah.
about, oh, I need a grade 1, oh, I need a grade 2, oh, I need a grade 3. Your priorities are different. It's like, oh, I need this piece to do that, I need that piece to do this. And it's actually one of my favorite things about Overdress. Even though you do have to discard, you can even think about your discard. You could be like, I want a mulligan
Yeah.
for this just so I can discard it. You know, like
Yeah.
maybe you want to drop, like even the meteors. You can discard meteors and send them back to the deck. And you have like all these kind of options in it. I think that's probably my favorite part about Overdress in general, is not having to stress out about the fact of being grade stuck. You can just sit there and be like, I'm just mulliganing for what my deck wants to do. And that is just a beautiful feeling.
Yep. Like the safety net of being able to know that you will be able to hit your grade 3 when you want to hit your grade 3 is the draw of Overdress. Now, with that being said, that was our first match of the top 8, and once we come back from this break, we will be bringing you the semifinals, our top 4, and right after that, we'll have our finals and then our winner interview. But don't go anywhere. We have more exciting Cardfight Vanguard for you after the short break, and we will see you soon.
Hello and welcome back to Bushiroad Rumble Online. We are here today. We just had our top 8. We're going into top 4. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Toku, start us off.
I'm very excited. Like I said, I think the story is going to be very dominated and by basically Gravidia World and Kyrie, like you said. I'm hoping myself to see Bastion, and I think only the bracket will kind of tell us. Peter, what's your thoughts?
I'm hoping to see some Bruce. I mean, like, I do have a DSR Bruce right here to manifest that we see some Bruce on stream.
Bring us back to Bring us back to the first season of Overdress. I want to see Bastion and Bruce in the finals.
That would be so sick.
That would actually be solid.
Right.
Let's go.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket, see if our wishes will come to fruition.
Aw, so no Bastion, unfortunately.
No!
However, 2 Gravidia, 1 Kyrie, 1 Bruce. That's what we have right now as our top 4. So we have 3 different decks for our top 4. Still pretty good. It could have alternatively been 2 Kyrie, or no, not 2 Kyrie, 3 Gravidia and 1 Kyrie? Or I think that's what it would have been if Gumi Guy had won.
Oh, wow.
Or no. Sorry. It would have been 2 Kyrie, 2 Gravidia if Gumi Guy had won. So we almost had 2 decks in our top 4.
We almost had that prediction that I may or may not have called a top 8. Crazy.
We
Crazy.
almost did. But Adrian went against the odds. Still has not dropped a game this entire tournament.
All right, so Adrian going to be up against G in the first bracket of the semifinals, and Kagze up against Yusha. Yusha once again going to have to show off Kyrie's stuff as he goes up against another Gravidia player. Now, that's pretty much enough from us. I know you guys, and so are we. We're very excited to just watch the game and see what kind of high-level standard gameplay we can get. It sounds like the players are raring to go, so let's once again go ahead and bring you guys to the semifinals of Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022.
Woohoo!
Yeah, baby! We've got Adrian Barber on that Bruce against G on the Gravidia world, I believe.
Yep.
That should be good video world. Yep, there we go. Going in for that search again for the Moonlit Order.
Yep. I mean, that Eclipse Moonlight is just such a strong card. I know that, like, I remember when that card came out, people were even playing that in prison sometimes. Like, they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
remember that? Like, when that
Yeah,
card
the
came
rush
out, people were
build.
like, yeah, it's like, okay, I can get a little bit more aggression in prison than normal. And that's sort of the advantage of having those really good generic ride decks. Like, for example, Stoicheia has the Zorgo one and the Roro one. Both are, like, really good. I know a lot of people will consider the Roro one, like, the best generic one.
Putting on the gas right here from Adrian's side of things. Gonna go ahead and swing with the Dober. Just trying to force... I wonder if Adrian is trying to have that master plan once again. Force the Gravidia player to use its counterblast early, getting one from the order, one from the meteors that didn't really need to be done this quickly.
Mm-hmm. I think you're actually exactly right. He's going for a very similar sort of approach here. Even having the exact same open of riding, calling Dober, swinging with Vanguard.
Yep.
I know a lot of people will like swing with Vanguard first to potentially give the trigger to a rear guard. Not this time because the Vanguard is actually bigger here. So that's always a thing to consider. Normally Bruce...
I like it. Here comes that Boba Mine coming in big with that resource refund.
It's at the end of boosted battle, so it won't be able to counter.
Aww.
Sorry, sorry to ruin your moment there.
That does mean you can attack Boba Mine, prevent that
Exactly.
resource regain, and then just swing.
Yes, that is correct. It's very interesting how much Rush G is doing here. It's good. I think it's a good approach here, but it is a little scary because you can get Counterblast denied here pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can respect it though. Like maybe G has another Boba Mine in hand, and that's why they're so eager to get rid of it, since they can boost a column that isn't Gravidian or linear, and then therefore when we go into the Gravidian or linear swing, we do have it live.
Oh, that's genius.
That's actually
genius.
that's a good time for that. Just retire.
Oh my!
Oh,
yeah,
choosing
clear
even
the board.
better.
Clear the board.
Yeah. Swing into the Boba Mine and then retire the Shadow Army token. Easy.
Yeah, this is really smart here. Just go, okay, swing at the Boba Mine, try and clear the board so that...
And it's guarding it. Oh.
And just
They're
swing at
guarding
it
it,
again.
though.
Why not?
Yeah, right? Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Okay,
Oh my
okay.
gosh.
Once you pass,
that
we
went-
do
oh,
find
it
No,
goes
it
through.
doesn't
Wait.
hit. It's a 15.
Oh, it doesn't.
23 and 20.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, so close. That was actually a pretty nuts moment there. I was like, whoa.
is still really
Immediately
scary.
pulling back the Boba Mine. He's like, oh my gosh, I almost lost my resources. I can't
Yeah.
let this
Yeah.
happen again.
Oh, but this is one other thing. That means that G has to attack with a rear guard first before using the meteors, which means that everything is a
True.
lot less scary.
That is true because
Yeah.
that's the downside. Why actually that other counter treasure was good because it was attack or boost, but this one is at the end of battle, so or at the end of battle boosted specifically.
Yeah, and because it's on the side lane, that means that you have to swing with that column first.
Yeah. And at the same time, because you're forced to swing with that column, you need to expend a card in a deck that already has low rear guards to put one in front of that Boba Mine, and then to have the most maximum value out of your Gravidia Counterblast, you want to have another rear guard to put on the left side as well. So it really does come down to what did G mulligan for, what did G draw off of those two cards, and will G actually even use the Counterblast this turn? Or maybe even go for like a slow turn, and then when Adrian goes into their grade 3 turn, we now have the Counterblast to really go for a strong turn then.
Yeah, I agree, and also something to keep in mind, depending, we still don't have our 5 meteor condition here, and I don't see the grade 3 either, so it's kind of hard to say like what we're trying to go for here. Say we're going for the slower play as you mentioned.
leaving for the bowl mine in front as well. Oh my god, that hand must be pretty in order, if I do want to say so myself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's almost like there might be orders in that hand.
Is asking a big order from G here to try and be able to call something to the board. But it looks like Adrian definitely wanted to play on that low damage count there. Does not need the counter blast at this moment, so may as well not take the damage.
Yeah.
However, very good trigger, allowing the Bulba Mine to hit here, forcing Adrian to once again guard a bit extra for cards that could have just stayed on the board since Bulba Mine would not have been able to hit otherwise.
I think this is also nice though because yeah, you could just block this with because it's only 18k with that front trigger, and that was probably the worst time to hit a front trigger because it was the second check, so that means that no matter what you were gonna give a trigger to Bubble Mine anyways, and because of that you can really just give G a bad time in general now, because like now that those front triggers are out, chances of getting like a good front trigger when you have a full front row are much lower.
Mm-hmm. Especially since G is also leaning towards more of the crit rather than the fronts here, as we see. But we are going to see the Leonard start the attacks off. Leonard maybe into Bulba Mine, try and choke G from that resources. And it looks like G going to have to expend another card to protect the Bulba Mine there. Looking for a soul count here. It is very important to keep track of the Bruce soul count. Soul Blast 5 is a lot. And choosing to finally let the Bulba Mine hit at this time as well, now that we're on Bruce, this actually lets Barber extend a bit, and choosing to call the Dober out to get some extra booster. Not looking to extend the attacks, but I actually really like this. Ooh!
Wow.
That
was
a well-timed heal.
Wow.
And it's also a very good heal to get in this matchup
That's like a
as well.
perfect guard too.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, that was the perfect set of drive checks to get on this specific turn. Getting a heal into a perfect guard means, and not only any heal, it's the crit heal specifically. That means that it's easier to block that Gravidia, and you're at 0 damage now. You're having a good time.
Looks like we have a Persona right here, which is also good. And we can kind of start pushing a little bit here, actually getting some meteor turns going. You kind of have to push at this point because now we're going into a different situation. It's like, yeah, you could probably guard and deal with all this stuff, but Bruce is at 0 damage.
Yeah.
And they're about to hit Final Rush. And considering this deck runs a more consistent approach to soul charging, you're going to be seeing a lot of grade 4 restanding going on here for the next couple turns.
Absolutely. G is hoping for that crit OT, 6 damage on everything kind of play here, and it is what Gravidia players do best sometimes. So let's go ahead and see what will happen. Adrian Barber doing his signature 3 off the top there, 4 off the top this time, mixing it up. Got to keep the enemies on their toes there. We're gonna go ahead and get our draw 2 off of our riding the Gravidia Norlinger, and usually at this point, once we've got our Persona ride, we've basically drawn through 3 cards for this turn, went through 2 dirty cards by getting them out of the deck. We should be able to kind of stabilize at this point. A lot of the same story was told in a lot of the games that we saw, and that was the Gravidia player not being able to find the Persona ride, not being able to get that extra deck thing, not being able to get that extra draw 2, and thus our deck was just lower quality on the drive checks. Finding those orders was more of an issue. Finding the grade 3s was more of an issue. And therefore, we now just have a healthier hand, more options to play with. And our deck is just that much more thin to try and hit these triggers, which are going to come up big on this turn.
And I love that you mentioned that the deck is a lot thinner now, because the Overtrigger is still in there. Or at least as far as we know. Overtrigger is not public information on either player's side. So that means not only is it a higher chance of G hitting that on a double trigger turn, but also that means there's a higher chance of Adrian hitting it defensively. So you got to be careful here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going for it.
This is pretty good. This is pretty good setup here. I like this.
Yep. This is the double trigger turn right now. And I mean, you may as well. This is probably the perfect time to do it because it's like, okay. Yeah, that's
no risk from Adrian Barber. You know what?
Yeah.
I only need 1 counter blast to do my turn next turn. If you don't get a crit, very cool. I can take one of the other rearguard attacks, but this is too scary for me, especially on that Nordlinger swing. So I'm gonna throw down a PG ASAP.
Another thing to talk about as well is that G does not have any rearguards with extra crits on them yet. Because even if an overtrigger is hit, it will deal 4 damage.
Oh, there's Bobo.
Bull Mine heal. That's a good heal.
That's a
good
heal?
heal.
Double heal.
So we're going back down to 0.
Wow. These players are zero
Ooh.
damage gaming right now.
They really are. It's like
Quite literally.
imagine having damage. Couldn't be these two.
Attack
Could
the
not be.
Vanguard to deal your opponent damage. Haven't been seeing that been done at all. Both players still at 0, which then gives G more damage to play with in the long term of the game. But however, with the pace of the game, I wonder if Deco's going to be an option. And you know what? Overtrigger out of the game. Adrian Barber has that one counter blast that he needs for his upcoming turn on that Unrivaled Bruce. Let's go ahead and see if that happens. We're looking for that typical play, Unrivaled Blues, Megan, Marjorie. Let's pop off.
Wow,
If he has
we're
that
seeing a lot of
setup-
healing.
If he has that set up right now, I swear that's gonna be crazy.
I mean, we've seen it so much. Why not
Oh.
see it a couple more times? Oh, this is good too. It's just a straight up retire. But you
All
can't.
right.
You don't want to use it. I'm assuming you want to utilize the restand here.
Right. You want the full setup of like extra, like just attacking in general. Probably wants to save the Megan maybe, and yeah.
Probably-
This is
oh,
smart.
just to put it in. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay,
Because you're gonna use
I like
Marjorie to
that.
put the crit in. Yeah.
I like that, using the vanilla crits because they
Magic
have
numbers.
magic numbers, giving that 5k boost there. Very cool.
Yup, indeed. Making you have to get out that 15k shield or a 10k if you're running the draws.
And Marjorie's going to be able to push that crit back into the soul, and then we're going to just be able to just kind of like play.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
taking the damage.
this also plays around the Baca Burrito as well, because now you only have 2 rear guards. And
Yeah.
that's one of the nice things about Bruce. You can play a nice board and just suck it all in. Or suck in at least most of it so that you have only 2 rear guards at the end of your turn, meaning that Baca Burrito, that crit gain is not happening.
Yep. That's going to force a crit out from a guard. So it sounds like this where like maybe Adrian actually did want to take that second counterblast to be able to use it alongside Hellblast Full Dive. Getting that extra 10k to the front row just makes that makes it that much harder.
No! You can't use
No,
Wow.
no, you didn't want to heal
Wow.
there. You didn't want to heal
Wow.
there. No,
We're back to 0 damage gaming. What? What is happening right now? What is this top 4?
No, Adrian, he wanted the heal as the 4th card, not the 3rd card, so now he won't even be able to get the restands, won't be able to push out more cards out of G's hand, and G gets another Persona ride. Okay.
Oh my goodness. And watch as G will hit the overtrigger this turn. Watch. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. This is going to happen.
Okay, so we know Adrian soul charged the PG. We know Adrian used the PG an earlier turn. Does Adrian have another PG to be able to get past this Persona Ride Gravidian Norlinger turn? That deck over on G side of thing as well is getting very small. I'm just gonna have to like take a quick peek at his deck list again, and it does not look like G is playing any ways of putting meteors back into the deck. So whatever cards are left in that deck are whatever cards G has left to play with for the remainder of the game.
That's true. Another thing also to consider is that since Adrian's not running a super soul charge heavy build of Bruce, you could sort of play that grind game a lot better if you're using that build. So if it goes to deck out, G will probably be the one to lose in that sort of war of attrition.
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta be careful here. Kind of how this is when cards like Shergo do come to play pretty well. Though Shergo is kind of like a weird one of that's like hard to run sometimes, even for consistency. But it does help in situations like this. It looks like they're actually. Oh no, I think they're just deciding how many cards to put to the bottom.
I also just want to say
mixing it up. Oh,
it's
counting
hilarious.
cards.
Yeah,
It's
Counting
hilarious
cards.
that after this is the 5th turn for G. Like after the end of 4 turns for both of these players, it's 0-1 right now in terms of damage.
Yep. Yeah, this will be a deck out situation, and usually Bruce decks out pretty fast, but Gravidia definitely beats the deck out game.
Yeah, and this is also a version of Bruce that runs through his deck a little bit less quickly, especially because Adrian did not get to restand.
Yeah, that restand would have made a big difference. But imagine healing going against you. What is going on?
I've had that happen before. Damage checking an overtrigger on turn or on your first turn.
Yep.
When you want to go into arcs for Nirvana.
Double troll. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like, no, I wanted that card.
All right, looks like we are going to be... I think this is another 5 meteor play, right?
Yep.
All right, going for those big double triggers.
don't think
Adrian
they have a
Barber, do you have
choice.
the PG? Do you have the PG, Adrian?
You don't even
Or do you
need the
just-
PG
just wanna
unless
take
OT's in deck. In which case maybe you do need the PG. But honestly, you could just
I
take
feel
this.
it. I feel it. OT
You
might
feel
happen
it?
right here. I
Oh
feel
my
it.
god, we don't even
I
have
feel
the
it.
OT mat.
Crit?
Oh.
Okay, that's
Three?
No, this
that's
is
a
4
lot of
damage.
damage.
That's four
Four
damage.
damage right
That's four
now.
damage. That's four. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
I feel
What's
it,
the next card?
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
4 damage. Here we go.
All right. We know the
This is
defensive
what you
OT is
need.
out of the game.
Megan.
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 Okay.
Oh
okay.
no.
One thing that works here though for Adrian is that Adrian has 7 soul exactly right now. So eight soul right now. So if he goes for a Derek play here, this upcoming turn, if he even has one, he's fine because then that means he can actually retire 2 rear guards. One of them can be the Bobble Mine if it stays on the board at the end of the turn. The other one can be that Baku Burrito.
Mm-hmm.
Or even the shield, honestly.
Yeah.
Either one is good to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And whether you want the crit gone or you want the 10k shield off the board, really up to you because both pretty much matter.
Yeah, I actually think retiring the Bobble Mine right here, or using Bobble Mine skill here is not necessarily the right play because that might make it easier for Adrian to decide what to get rid of. Oh, okay.
I think you
so-
want the counter charge, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I see what you mean. It kind of makes it a harder decision to make.
Yeah, keeping it out makes it a harder decision of like, do I want to get rid of counter charge, or do I want to just clear the front row? And it looks like clearing the front row is definitely the play here because Derek can now retire 2 things at once because it's for every 4 soul you have. So if he has a Derek, he's having a good time.
Right, and
Doesn't
there
look
comes the
like
Hellbass full dive. We have, calling another copy of Unrivaled. So we do have the 10k to the front. We do have a Leonard. Leonard having no columns to swing into for the double soul charge. But at this point, we already have all the soul we need. Probably not something we really want. The only lacking part is not having another Marjorie to try and draw us another card. Try and cycle out cards there. But we're going to be able to swing once again. And this is probably going to a rear guard, trying to lower G's offensive pressure. And yeah, I think like you said earlier or today, Orange, Gravidia just not having that many rear guards, it might be in Adrian's best interest, that's a PG, to try and remove the rear guards. But it looks like that attack did go into the Vanguard there. We are going to go ahead and do that restand from Unrivaled Bruce. So blasting 5 and restanding our front row. Here, if Leonard hits, we would be able to get some soul refund for next turn if we do have a next turn at that point. We do have a PG though. PG for that Gravidia turn is good, but I wonder if G has 1 more Persona right in hand and 2 more meteors in deck to get that last 5 meteor turn going.
Okay.
Stat? Oh, okay, that's right, because it's 1 attack.
Yeah, because that was also a 2 to pass, so 1 drive check means you're fine, because Overtrigger's already out. And speaking of Overtrigger being out, G's Overtrigger is still in deck. At least it's still in private information at the moment. So that's terrifying for Adrian.
Mm-hmm.
This is very true. That hitting that double T can secure game here. That or it's either gonna be like OT or deck out at this point. Like something,
Yeah.
one of the two is gonna happen.
G also asking for a deck count on Adrian Barber's side of things. They're trying to decide what will the Garden Pattern be. Is my win con going to hit my opponent to 6, or is my win con going to hit my opponent's deck to 0 instead? It looks like we're going to go ahead and guard that easy 5 to guard there. Not willing to take any unnecessary damage. And here comes a 25k from Leonard. This does ask for a trigger, but it looks like choosing to let that hit, that is 1 more PG out of the deck for G. Adrian Barber being forced to soul charge here.
And it's
I
the
wonder
last
if
Megan.
is that call?
Megan's
the
gone.
call.
You can't.
Okay,
You can't
luckily
call.
the-
You're not on violence.
the call is on violence. So just going for that extra 15k attacker and then getting the soul charge on hit. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the last Megan being called means that now there's no way to get it back. You're out of
Yep.
Megans. And also, if Adrian did not heal that last turn, he would have drive checked one of the Megans that he just checked 3 in a row of.
That is very true.
Because the first 3 damage were all Megan.
Yep.
Right, and it looks like going straight into another
Another
Northlander
perfect guard?
turn. Now, I don't believe that 5 was put this time, but we do have to wary of the crit there. No
Wow.
triggers
Okay.
this
Okay.
time around.
No
So
OT in sight.
able to take at least 1 damage. Maybe might be considering actually like guarding both attacks here. We do know that a Marjorie was picked up that last turn. Unfortunately, no Megans to play with, so kind of just playing on what we currently have in hand right now.
Yeah, this is actually kind of a scary situation because, our Adrian is close to a deck out here, so even taking damage is actually really scary. But you need kind of normal units to do anything, and Gravidia's going to keep board wiping like this. So it's kind of like, how do you even try to kill here? Gravidia's at 3 damage.
Yeah.
And OT is gone. It's like, and guarding's scary, but you have to call rear guards. Like, Adrian's getting put into a corner now. But slowly but surely, the game has actually been shifting against Adrian.
It really came down to finding that Nordlinger Persona ride, having those extra cards, having the more effective drive checks, forcing Adrian in hand more and more as the time goes on to kind of really put this card advantage deficit in G's favor.
Also, one thing as well, Adrian still has that crit heal, but it's only a 10k shield against this specifically. He needs a 15k shield to block this if he wants to block this. So he could have potentially, like in hindsight, he could have used that crit heal to block the Vanguard because no triggers were checked.
But that Vanguard is already sitting at 27k after that counterblast. 27k and a crit. One purely 20k heal. That's still a 1-2 pass, and that's really scary, especially when you're in this kind of situation.
That's true.
I see a meteor count here. A lot of meteors are out of deck.
Yeah, out of the grade 2
ammo.
meteors, and has used, I think, has used. Oh wow.
Whew.
Yeah, no,
Whew.
1 Persona ride left in the deck
Yep.
at most.
Yeah, doing a big. I think Adrian's just trying to figure out what in the world is left of that deck.
Yeah,
At this point.
Very much trying to figure out what G has left in the tank after this turn. Because if Adrian can kind of vanilla play the rest of the game and just kind of remove rearguards as much as he can, Nordlinger is just left on their Vanguard. Because as we said before, not a lot to play with on the topic of rearguards for that deck. And taking that 5th damage, and now we are going to go ahead and pass it back to Adrian. And what will Adrian do at this point? Choosing to use a Bull Mine for the counter charge, may as well get rid of that on the board before Leonard's able to kind of capitalize on more board wipe. But if I was in G's side of things, I wonder if like baiting Adrian into attacking with Leonard might be an option, but it looks like most of Leonard's are gone because it looks like we also used one to guard with. We had a couple being retired as well.
So, question: how many is that? 5 cards left in deck for Adrian? Because if that's
No.
the case,
It was
how
more.
many cards are left?
It was more than 5, but
Okay. Because like the thing is like triple drive plus another drive, that's 4 cards out of deck.
Yeah.
Plus potentially maybe another soul charge being hit in case we see anything useful here. Any useful like cards that force the soul charge. It's kind of scary.
it is. Because, yeah, this is getting to that grind game right now, and the soul charge is starting to bite back, and not only that, you can't use Derek's skill now because that might deck you out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because Derek has to look at the top 4 here, because Derek would retire 1. And Adrian actually only has 4 souls, so this does guarantee at least hitting the 5 soul requirement, but man, this... Okay, you can hit the soul
Okay.
requirement.
There's a Marjorie. I wonder if Adrian's even going to use Marjorie's effect this time. Or use Dober to push it into Soul, give the Marjorie the 10k regardless, but not being forced to Soul Charge and draw. Here comes full dive. Okay.
Calling whatever down. Megan would have been so nice here.
Marjorie's not
Yeah,
bad,
because
though.
you can't deck out at least. But Marjorie forces you to soul charge if you choose to do it.
I think I see what Adrian's going for here. He's not even using Marjorie's skill this turn.
Yep. I assume that would be the play here.
Yeah, he's going to use the Dobers to instead gain that extra soul required.
Okay, going for...
And then
Okay,
maybe
yeah,
maybe on the second swing, then use Marjorie if
Yeah.
the drive checks are poor.
Exactly.
Oh, we're at small deck right now for both players. I
Yeah.
think actually, if an overtrigger gets hit for either or for G's side, might not be able to attack with Vanguard.
You're correct because they will actually deck them out.
Yeah.
I think here you have to guard everything. We're again back in
Yeah.
the situation of if you take damage, it screws you.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, you know,
Yeah,
defensive
guarding
OT
everything.
is a thing.
That's true. I wonder who.
Defensive OT is a thing, but that's that's an extra card out of your deck.
Yep.
And
And-
Adrian has quite a few crits still in the deck as well. So if he hits a crit, this might just end it in terms of like deck out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh,
You might just-
6. 1, 2, 3,
It's
4.
it's close. It's close. That's what I'm saying. Like it feels really close.
I
Oh
think
my
if
gosh.
you're going for something here, you might just not even attack with the Vanguard a second time. You might just attack with the Vanguard once, get that triple drive, restand the Marjories.
And then, yeah, just swing Marjorie.
Yeah. Because this is a 33 Vanguard right now, so this is still no laughing matter in terms of just the sheer power.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is he deciding on if he wants to attack?
I think trying to think because you can't kill here. So maybe passing turn is the way, or like maybe trying to think through like
No, because at the same time, you might have to play. If you're gonna pass a turn here, you're passing up 3 cards in hand. You're gonna be passing up potential
True.
shield value,
the
and
next turn you can't do anything.
but
at
at the
all.
same time, we do know that it is kind of playing like, does G have the Persona Ride? Does G have the ability to put another set of meteors into the order zone for that extra 15k power? Because right now, Adrian is kind of, I'm guessing, mathing out what can I guard, what can't I guard if I pass turn. What can I guard, what can't I guard if I swing? How many turns left do I have if I swing? Can I swing next turn if I swing? There's a lot to think about once more and more of both players' deck becomes public information. There's more information to process. Because Vanguard is a game where a lot of information is public. Your opponent sees what you drive check. Your opponent sees what you search.
Yep.
And therefore, you can like deduce by elimination what's left in their deck, what's left in your deck, and what's in their hand based on what they drove check, what can they guard, what do they have to attack you with. So I'm curious as to what this attack went into. G calling down that PG. Like we said, also damaging the overtrigger could spell GG for G as well. So definitely not something we want to take. That's a good front trigger.
Important, useful.
That's
Oh,
a good
crits?
crit trigger. Okay.
I think you give crit
Oh
to the
my
side here,
gosh.
actually. Oh,
Choosing to go all in on the Vanguard.
There's possible that all the PGs are out for G. I'm not too sure exactly how many, but that would actually. Oh my gosh! Oh
okay.
my gosh! Put it all on Van and make it lethal. Like what do
This
you do
Vanguard's
here?
hitting for over and over trigger as well. an
Yes,
over trigger guard.
exactly,
So this is 63 on its own.
exactly.
If you do that. Or you could also, because G's deck is looking really small, give the crit to... Okay, yeah, no. Give him
Yeah,
all the
you
stuff.
go all in. I'm pretty sure there's maybe one PG left for G, but I don't think it's in hand. If there is even one.
I think G does have the PG in hand, but
Really?
I think when the opportunity to try and 3-6 your opponent arrives, you should go for it. I think this is the correct play.
Oh!
Smart. Getting rid of that hand now, so that way it makes the Vanguard unguardable.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's only 2 cards in hand.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that was a drive check.
I think there's still more crits in the deck, too. Because we've seen 4 crits out, 2 crits just checked. There might be 1 crit left in the deck, and if that's that 1 check, then that could just spell the end of it.
I think this is stupid. So theoretically speaking, if there's a perfect guard in hand, right? So you can actually guard this. We still have the grade 2 on the board, but yeah, it's pretty spooky. What you
No,
do is
can't
you
with
guard
the grade
this.
2. The grade 2 is not
Not
enough.
enough.
It's only 10k shield.
Oh.
It's only 10k
I guess
shield.
so. The goal here is if you can, you use the grade 2, use another card in hand if it's of any shield value. PG the Vanguard and then take the Marjorie. That would be the goal.
I'm very curious as to know how many cards left are in G side of things as well in the deck, because if it really does come down to G not wanting to take damage because he needs
here we go.
he needs
Here
the
we go.
ability to be able to guard.
Yep, this
Need
is
more?
exactly what you have to
Don't-
do here.
Wait, isn't that only 10k shield per copy?
It's
Yeah,
it's
you need
23
more.
total.
Yeah.
No, it's 33
It's
total.
33 because
33.
of the front. So you need 25k
33.
shield. You need
No,
25k
but
shield.
the Marjorie, depending on which Marjorie they use the
No,
skill on.
they're both 33 because Dober was to the Vanguard. It was a front trigger plus the Hellblast full dive.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. I missed the hell dive, full dive. Okay, that makes more sense. In which case, yeah, this is unguardable, pretty much. What we now know, it's unguardable.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
So yeah, this makes 33. This matches, which is not enough. One of these attacks will have to be taken, and like it really does come down to like how much.
I mean, you take
deck.
one, you guard the other, you PG the Vanguard. That's the initial goal, but you have to guard. Actually, you could take both technically.
And
Yeah,
you have to have PG here specifically, or else you can't block the Vanguard.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if we're aware of this, but Choku said there is a perfect guard in hand, so.
I think I managed to gleam a perfect guard.
Okay, so we're not even sure fully here. Okay.
During G's hand shuffle.
I'm assuming what's happening with this guard being this important, I assume there is a perfect guard in hand. Because otherwise they would just take it all if they can't guard. But that or, OT, again, is still in question.
Yeah, and this is a tough decision here. So
I'm like very intrigued as to what's been going on in this game. And we do take one of the Marjories. Not the
I mean, you don't have a choice now. If they actually aren't guardable, if they're both the same number, if we saw the shield,
then
you have to take both.
This. Oh,
no more.
Okay, so no Persona Rise left in deck. That really cuts down on Gravidia's offensive pressure this upcoming turn, because no way to get meteors from the deck into the order zone except from hand. Therefore, I don't think G will be able to do anything.
But that's fine. All you need to do is try to swing and try to deck out at this point. Like, you can swing and have enough guard. Hopefully, don't hit OT that forces you to deck out, and you're good.
is that a perfect card?
We're about to see. It has to be.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, wow, all 4 perfect guards.
Oh,
and
it was another front.
Woo.
That's a front. Okay.
Oh, that was a front. My bad.
There's still a crit in the deck as well.
So now we have. That's it. It's over.
That's all. Turn.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you had to do. Like, if there was only one card left in deck, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, then maybe the play was for. I wonder if Adrian should have passed and not done that last attack, but he had to bait out that PG anyways.
Yep.
I think
exactly.
With the way it was, with the number of cards left in deck, I think it's just unfortunate that all of those triggers have to be on the last 4 cards of the deck, or like the 4 of the 5 cards of the deck.
I do want to say, I think that Adrian should have also maybe given one of the crits to the rear guard, so that because you can only block one of the attacks.
True.
So because you can only block one attack, or you can only block you can only block one of the attacks, because no matter what, the perfect guard can only block one, and then intercept and guard with the other things was not enough. A crit on a rear guard would have won the game.
I think you're right there. I think at that point the Vanguard wouldn't even matter. They would have had to perfect guard the Vanguard anyway because the number was so high. So if one of the crits actually went to the rear guard, it would have been game. You're correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
But those very minute things as well, right? Because even though I say that Vanguard as a game has a lot of public information, Gravidia for some reason kind of subdues that kind of thought because of how much it draws. Blind draws as well. We saw that with 2 Persona rides. With 2 Persona rides, G was able to draw 6 unknown cards. So despite Agent might have been seeing a lot of orders in grade 3s in the drive checks, we might have been farming up those PGs quite easily off of our draw 3s.
Yeah, honestly, I think we saw 3 PGs and 1 fell into damage. So yeah, the other 3 were pretty much hard drawn into. So
yeah. That was such a strange game as well. The fact that they both kept healing.
Yep, they were at 0. Imagine being a Bruce player and you're at 0 damage. That never happens. On Final Rush, we're not even talking about, your 2, your 3. We're talking about a Final Rush turn. You're on grade 4 and you can't even reset because you have no damage. That does not happen every day.
Honestly, I was most surprised to see that Bruce was winning in the deck out race.
Yep.
Especially with the fact that we didn't have Marjorie on our first Final Rush turn. We didn't get to actually restand on our Final Rush turn.
Yep.
But I guess all the incidental soul charging from allowing those Lenards to hit actually came back to bite Adrian in the butt.
Yep. That is correct. That was an insane match. Those Megans too falling to damage really changed the pace of the game. Like Megan there would have slowed down that soul charging that Peter brought up because it's just brutal like numbers and no like and nothing else. It's just numbers. So which is good, which is what you want to see. You don't want to soul charge. You want to do this. You just want to beat face. You don't want to deck out. So in that situation, Megan would have been the perfect card to see there, and all 4 copies were gone. All 4.
3 of them damage checked in the exact same hit.
Yep.
Too.
Yeah.
And if he had not healed, he would have drive checked one of those Megans.
Yep. Would have been just enough.
Yeah, I suppose taking 4 damage is a good way to lose 4 cards from your deck. So
yeah,
that crit on that 5 meteor turn coming up huge. But with that, we will see G head on to the finals for this Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022. And once we come back from this break, we will see who G is up against for the finals. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Bye.
Welcome
Hello.
back.
Oh.
Welcome back, everyone, to Bushiroad Rumble Online. And we are done with our semifinals. We do actually know who is actually in the finals. But, I mean, man, that was a pretty good semifinals match, honestly. Like, games where it goes to...
What a nail-biter. What a nail-biter. Yeah.
You're getting your money's worth.
Yeah, games going to deck out is something you don't see too often in Standard. And it really shows the very small things. I think like we talked about it, that letting those Leonard hits in the early game for those forced soul charges really came back. Like those 1 extra cards needing to stay in the deck just to give Adrian that one last turn. The game of inches.
Yeah, that was quite a game. I wasn't expecting. I was expecting kind of a little bit of a faster pace kind of going on there, but we definitely didn't see that. Like we saw, because normally when you reach your win con, your Grade 4 win con, or your video stuff, like things kind of speed run. But that was actually really kind of like dragged out to like literally deck out.
So we know that on one side of the bracket, G was able to take it all the way to the finals. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket to see who else on the other half will be joining him in the grand finals for Bushiroad Rumble Online. And it is indeed Kogze. So for the finals of today's Cardfight Vanguard Standard for the BRO 2022, we have G versus Kogze. Gravidia World versus Gravidia World. Who do you guys think is going to win? Who do you like?
Oh wow!
Give me your instant prediction right now.
I think like kind of back to V Premium. I kind of have this feeling that Gravidia might actually try and beat Gravidia, but Gravidia might actually try and counter Gravidia by counting Gravidia's skill with Persona riding and countercharging to out Gravidia and maybe out deck out Gravidia.
Now it's actually funny that you mention that they're going to play there. Peter, I think you're going to be on the same topic as well, so I'll let you take the reins here.
Oh, yeah. I think Gravidia World, really has a good matchup against Gravidia World, but on the other hand, Gravidia World really does have that, that edge. But in seriousness, one of these builds is more of like a deck out, or has more likelihood to deck out, because one recycles and one does not.
And I think that's one of the things I wanted to mention is that despite both of these decks being of the same archetype, definitely one of the decks has a different ideology to the other deck. One of them runs the countercharger, but no ways to refill the deck, whereas that other deck does run ways to refill the deck with no countercharger. So it really does kind of show off 2 different ideologies from 2 different players. And in this finals, we will be able to see which one reigns supreme. Would it be the resource management, or would it be preventing any possible lose con condition? But that's enough from us. All we're doing is talking the talk. I know you guys want to see the players walk the walk. As per usual, let's go ahead and go to the finals of Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022 for the Cardfight Vanguard Standard Overdress format. I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Let's go!
Let's go!
Yeah! Woo! Finals.
So on the left, we have G playing Gravidia World, and on the right, we have Kogze playing Gravidia World. And the first player to start will be Kogze. Go ahead and find that draw. What is our discard of choice? Ideally, it would be one of the meteors, which we do see a very nice shiny one as we go into the Rootus to be able to find ourselves a copy of that Eclipse Moonlight Order. Now, this is where things get interesting. We both know both players will have that Eclipse Moonlight Order. Kogze will be able to put the aggression out first. Do you think there will be any repercussions that Kogze provides a body for G to attack into?
I do think that actually could come into play, so it is possible that Kogze could move the Shadow Army token to the back, maybe to prevent some damage denial.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it just depends on how they use their counterblasts, and how they kind of like how much damage they choose to give each other, because they both have this like early aggro play they can do, and one can deny the other if they really want to. So we'll have to see, and that denial could make a big difference or could not make a big difference. This is going to be a very like up and downhill for both players.
Absolutely. And G getting that extra draw because we're going second, maybe drawing into a Persona ride, something that G was very good at doing that last game that we saw. Coming up huge, being able to just get those extra cards required to go into it. And it looks like our first damage will not be a crit, but one drive checked and one damage checked from the grade 2 there in Gravidia Stanner.
Interesting. So this will be quite the, like, I don't know, I want to say match of attrition almost. Like, games with Gravidia either go really, really long or really, really quickly. That's the thing. And Kogze's build does have, if I remember correctly, a little bit more defense, I want to say.
Maybe. I think there's just a little bit more options for sending back meteors, but a lot less options to countercharge. But I think defense-wise, I think they're both similar.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay,
they might be both running the grade 2.
Both players at 1. G choosing not to take the second damage by guarding the Vanguard swing early, but taking the Shadow Token's attack. So the question really comes down to, what will G do with his Shadow Token now that he's been given the opportunity to use one and use the order that was given to him? You choosing not to actually call down the Shadow Token. This is interesting. That way, not really allowing Kogze to have that venue of Counterblast Denial itself. And then, I guess, maybe use that card as a discard fodder. Maybe saying, you know what, I don't really need this time around. But I think specifically in G's deck, I think he does want it just because Boba Mind does ask for a set order.
Yeah, I think what will happen here, honestly, is that you just take the damage and just call the Shadow Army token on this turn. So I think what G was trying to avoid is getting counterblast locked. And I think that was the goal here. So just avoiding getting counterblast locked. Instead, if given to counterblast, cool, you can use Gravidia skill and you can get the token out.
I think it is something very smart as well. It just really does open up your options as to what you can do. Getting counterblast locked is something you definitely don't want to happen. And has Kogze learned from the mistake that happened in round 8 of Swiss? Will Kogze use those meteors when not required? It looks like actually deciding not to do so.
Or soul blasting.
Or
soul blast. That was pretty painful.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, this isn't the same. I'm thinking about the other countercharger. Never mind.
Right.
Pulling the PG out this early is actually really good on Kogze's side of things, because that means when Kogze does go for the 5 meteor play, one less PG to worry about on G's end.
Yep, exactly.
I guess what G is worried about is that Kogze does have 2 meteors in the drop zone there, and that grade 1 there does have the on-hit effect to be able to give Kogze an extra card in hand. But speaking of cards in hand, not a lot of shield value off of those 2 cards. We saw 1 order and 1 grade 3. So that 1 grade 3 going to be able to push one of those meteorites we see in the drop zone into the order zone, and that does help fuel the 5 meteorites that we do want. Let's go ahead and see what G is able to do on their turn.
Yeah, so go for it, Peter.
Oh, one thing I wanted to say that is that if Kogze does have a perfect guard as well, he can afford to use it here, discard that grade 2 order, and then actually bring it back with, because he also drive checked a Baku Burrito.
Yep.
So that means he can actually go for a pretty nice play of keeping as little public information as possible while still getting the optimal plays.
I agree. I agree. I think setting up Baka Burrito is like really smart too because you can constantly just keep using those discards to just get your value back with your meteors. They're pretty much recursioning what you need.
Now I'm very curious as to what G will decide to do on his turn coming up here. Gonna be able to get the draw 2 off of the 2 meteor skills. Now, I'm very curious as to what kind of plays both players will need to do. Now using the shadow token as predicted from our orange, using it as a booster rather than an attacker. So hopefully there it is, the Baku Burrito, gonna be able to Soul Blast and push a meteor from the drop zone into our order zone, and we do choose that extra meteor value right there. And it looks like we're going straight into attacks. Are we going to see the 5 meteor plays? We see 1, 2, 3. She's going for 3. It looks
three.
like.
Yeah, I think they're holding off. This is a very tempo matchup. Like both players will run out of steam eventually, especially with the grade 2 order as it does get bound. So I think you got to be very careful how far and how deep you want to go. Also, notice both players have been also playing around the Bacarito. They have been avoiding pretty much calling 2 rear instead of 3.
Yeah.
Avoiding the crits, but also avoiding getting too heavily retired.
Absolutely. Definitely a game of attrition that we're going to see here. Both players having that PG on that very first turn, not wanting to deal with any kind of funny shenanigans. And it looks like our first drive check over on G side of things will be 1 meteor, and the second will be a PG. So going to be able to get that PG back, very useful, especially when Kogze is looking to then probably use a 5 meteor play on this turn. If not a 5 meteor play, maybe just a 3 meteor play to force the PG out of G's hand. But that's a PG going into Kogze's side of things. And in this kind of matchup where both players are very threatening each other with crits and stuff, getting those PGs into hand is very important, but we do see a Persona right over on Kogze's side of things, going to be able to thin the deck by 2 meteors as well as draw 2 new cards. I am very excited to see what kind of plays Kogze brings here.
I also want to acknowledge the fact that persona writing is super big here. Why you usually don't want a 5 meteor on a turn where your persona isn't active. So meteoring 5 on a persona is way bigger. And that's how we're seeing here. We're seeing the persona right. So here it would make more sense to try and go for like a bigger blow or try to kind of end here versus that's why I think both players chose not to go for 5 meteors when they both of them rode to their regular Gravidia play.
I think because because you know the opponent has a perfect guard in hand, going for the 5 right now might be the play because then it will actually provide more pressure to get around that perfect guard as well by going, okay, even if you block my Vanguard's crit, I still might hit crits to give, if I hit a crit here, I still might have extra damage on my rear guard lanes as well.
Yep, exactly. It's just a matter of like almost like a brain play of trying to output your opponent with with the perfect guards versus like very aggressive, and those drive checks really matter here too.
Yeah, this is the 5 play right now, so hopefully for Kogze, G does not have 2 perfect guards in hand. Oh, it does look like he does.
All right, going to be able to pull at least 1 perfect guard on this swing here. Hopefully get some good triggers to pull the second one on that Baku Burrito attack. But over on Kogze's side of things, like we said before, a much telling tale is how many rear guards they put out when they go for this 5 meteor play, because this really does diminish the value of those front triggers, and the over trigger should ever happen. Losing 1 extra body to be able to donate power to makes a huge difference. We're going to find another Baku Burrito, and that heal trigger coming up huge. That's a very good heal trigger.
That's the perfect time to hit that heal trigger,
That is
actually.
huge. That makes a huge difference now because now it's even harder to kill. It's harder to kill, like especially your mirror matching. You don't want to deck out either, but now it's even harder to actually apply pressure when you're sitting at 1 damage.
Yeah, and not only that, this was the perfect time to hit it because there wasn't really much of anything to give extra trigger effects to. So instead, you're just getting that double heal. Pretty good.
And Kogze choosing to pass a turn instead of attacking with the Baku Burrito. No extra crit on it, so no real progression towards ending the game there. And that heal coming up really big for Kogze, especially in his deck that does run those refunders, the deck refillers, where G runs the refunders. And as we saw in a prior game, having to be using that Bulba Mine to actually boost a column then swinging with the Gravidia to be able to use its skill really does slow down the turn. We did see over on Kaze's side of things, having only one rear guard, not a very threatening turn, even with that a double trigger turn. So with G being forced to then use a column to get the counterblast required to go for our already weak Gravidia 5 counterblast, 5 meteor turn, probably something that we're just going to end up seeing a vanilla swing.
Also, one other thing I want to mention, the idea of like Bubble Mine, I actually am thinking about one other application of the card, and that is because it removes itself from the board, you can put down 3 things on the board, use the Bubble Mine, and now you only have 2. Baka Burrito is completely played around.
That is exactly why, when we were talking about counterchargers earlier, it's very interesting to see people choose other counterchargers because Bubble Mine forces you to actually counterplay in a mirror match where the other counterchargers in ranking cannot, and that's an OT. That is an OT.
Okay, so
oh my gosh.
Kaze
oh my
for
gosh.
the 5 meteor play this turn, but that over trigger will still hurt a lot. That's going to do 2 damage. Luckily, no other crits to go alongside that over trigger, but that is still going to be... Oh, that was the draw, and here's the second check. So, 1 damage, front trigger, that does help a lot. Second damage, no over trigger on the Cardfight for G. But this attack is lethal. This will pull out that PG from G's hand. And with that, despite being such a simple turn, so effective in what happened there.
Man, if Kaze had 1 more meteor, that would have been game.
Oh,
because that would have been 4 damage instead of 2.
Would have been, yeah, for sure. Crazy stuff. But I wonder if playing that crit down, I wonder if that would have baited out the PG from G. And kind of the big brain of not using the meteor skill. Say, nah, I only have 1 damage. You can safely take this. Using the Jedi Mind, using the mind tricks to force that overtrigger to the top of the deck.
Yeah, oh man. But another thing to consider as well. Oh man, I'm saying another thing to consider a lot here because there's so much to consider. But
absolutely, 3 PGs out.
So yeah, 3 PGs out was exactly what I was going to bring up. The fact that like now, it's becoming a sort of a war between who has the PGs left. Kaze has 2 left. G has 1 left. G needs to have that last one in hand in order to actually survive next turn.
Something to note that OT, though it was massive, it also kind of makes all the guard now a little bit easier.
Yeah. No more OT to really consider over on G side of things, and being at a low damage count when it was popping up, something very nice to see. So going to be able to use our own Baka Burrito. G liked Kaze's play so much that G was going to copy it. So going to go ahead and see quite literally a symmetrical board here with the Gravidia as well as the Baka Burritos. Let's see if G decides to change things up or we'll just go for also his own offensive overtrigger with 2 attacks. But we do see the Gravidia, I believe that's standard, come out there with all the meters we have, going to be an extra bit bigger, and there comes our attack. That is 5, so we will see that very large double triggered power Gravidia swing here. Do we see the over trigger as the revenge on what Kaze did to G?
Yep. This will be quite... I mean, keep in mind, Kaze is at 1 damage. You know, I know OT will definitely carry it over past taking 6, but still, like, depending on what's in hand, you can still it's not too scary. It's scary, but there's hope.
Kaze signaling that, come on, what you got? That is 1 crit, so we will be taking...
Splitting it?
4 damage, or are we splitting the damage?
I can't tell if there's a split or not, but I think it went crit power, so yeah.
Oh.
Okay, 1 defensive.
2 defensive.
2 defensive, okay,
wow.
That does help things a lot, and 2 defensive. No PGs going to the damage zone. Kaze now has 5 counterblasts to play with.
And a 33k Vanguard base.
Yeah, that makes it too big to hit.
Yep, exactly.
Wow. So got to save all the hand right there.
Well,
yeah, they still hit, but it's very small. They're hitting for 35, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
Or no, not 35. 25 or 35. I think it's 35.
Luckily, still being able to force cards out of Kaze's hand there.
35-38 is what it is.
Ah, there we go. Thank you.
So yeah, only 15k shield needed the entire turn. That's pretty good, honestly, because that allows you to save your PGs for next turn. Because this is starting to get to that point where it's like,
Persona,
there's the
huge.
Persona ride.
You need this.
Yeah, that's
all right.
scary.
Two
Oh,
meteors
wow.
going
Whew.
in. Okay, so going to be able to get one draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do have 5 meteors for our big play as well. We did see G not be able to drive check PG on their turn. So, Kogze smelling blood. Is this the time for me to also get
Wow.
those nice and juicy crits? 2 crits to end it all. 4
We're getting
damage to 5
close to-
damage.
We're getting close to deck out here too. Though that is a very small hand. I mean, very small deck. Very small deck. That's 5 cards? 5 or 6 cards total. Maybe even 7. But still very close.
That also means that your chances of hitting crits are pretty good.
Yep. Yep. And we know that based off G's drive checks, things are pretty guardable, so... Kind of just depends on, is it possible to have 3 attacks here?
Oh,
even
putting
bigger?
another meteor down.
I think that was
Ooh.
top decked as well.
Okay.
Ooh.
Got another
Okay.
Baka burrito there. Gonna be able
More
so-
meteors? Do we have a 3rd attacker? That's all we need here. Oh, yes, we do. Oh, yes, we do. Whew.
That is kind of creamy. That is kind of creamy. We're going to be able to get our 3 attackers. I think the only thing missing now is holding a Shurgo in hand for the next turn so we don't deck out.
Yeah,
Yes,
you're just going for
exactly.
the 5 here. Like,
Yeah, there's so many meteors in there. You can easily just go all in for the 5.
Yeah, this is like, you could just go for the 2s, honestly.
I was honestly thinking maybe you put the small ones into the drop zone because like once
Yeah.
you have Shurgo
Yeah.
out, then you're able to
Yeah.
put them all back in.
Exactly.
That's perfect. Because
So this is 38k.
Oh, there's the
Yep.
PG. I think that is the last PG on
It
G
is.
side of things. If we find a crit, oh, that's a big front trigger. That's a big front trigger.
Wow.
okay.
Okay.
Oh, and a
Another
persona right for next time.
But I don't think there can be another persona unless Shurgo is active, or there's a possibility for Shurgo, but I don't think there could be another persona here anyway.
OT
Deck is too
in
small.
hand- OT in hand would save G here because these are right now gigantic.
Oh, that is
These are-
one defensive.
These are at a
Oh
what,
my.
4.
Whew.
Oh, this is
Okay.
enough. This is enough.
Yeah, I mean we saw those drive checks, so definitely guardable.
Yeah.
Wow. So this might actually lead to deck outs. I'm pretty sure that deck is like at round 5, 4, 3.
4
I think
cards,
that was
so
3 or 4. Yeah.
3 or 4 cards, so we will be able to Persona Ride, get down to 3, and it really does depend on whether or not we have that Shurgo in hand to
Oh,
refill our deck
another
with meteors.
persona.
Countering
Persona
Ride
into
with our own
Persona.
Persona Ride. Checking meteors going to be able to hopefully push us back to 5 meters. Now, something to note, I don't think we've seen G's heal trigger yet.
That's true.
So
We also
G going
haven't
to
seen
be
G.
able to heal back down to 4, I believe.
Also, have we seen G's over?
We haven't seen G's over as well.
Oh, there's no meteors left in deck?
No meteors
Yeah.
left in deck. Oh, so not going to be able to draw off
They
the
might be in
meteors
hand.
heal.
That would be really bad if they're left in hand because that means that you might not have any board to put down.
Yeah, that is also true. We'll kind of see here because you can still go for at least the court play, and kind of still push out. Because at this point, Kaze is getting pretty close to deck out. So, 3 or 5 meteors. I think the focus here is to just try to outgrind.
I do see, I think, 2 or 3 meters, and there's the Baka burrito
Okay,
as well.
there's a-
Oh, well, that works. That is also a way to fix that problem.
Hopefully,
There we go.
Gonna put 1, so we have
Okay,
3 at least now.
Do we have the 5? I don't even know if we need the 5, but obviously it's better than not.
Oh,
so we do
there
have
it
the
is.
5, yes.
Do we have any other cards to call down? Looks like those 2 cards we do want to keep close to our chest.
Oh.
It's choosing to call down another card.
Oh!
All in. We're going all in.
We're going all
Oh,
in.
wow.
Honestly, I'm almost wondering if unless Kaze has a perfect guard, if it would have made a difference to put the 5k behind Vanguard to make it the super magic numbers. But it kind of just depends on what's in hand.
1,
And
2,
that is
3,
a
4,
very
5.
large hand.
Okay. Does Kogze have that PG? Boom, there
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I would definitely hope so with how much we've been drawing.
Okay.
Choosing to not have the Persona Ride for the next turn. Everything will be based on those 4 meters we see already there.
Yeah, well, there is no more hands, so.
Also,
That's a good heal.
Oh my gosh!
That's a good heal.
Oh my gosh, that is a
You-
double heal.
you only get to heal once because opponent is at 5, so...
Oh,
does-
true. That is. It's still
Yeah.
20k powered or something, which is
Yeah.
huge here. That's a front, double front. Oh my gosh, what are we watching?
Oh my gosh.
That is 40k power
Ouch.
in total, going to
Now-
everything. That's a lot of shields.
Now we do know that Kaze did have his own front trigger from that last turn, but I do think it needs to be big shield and then PG is what needs to happen on this side of things.
Yeah, that 5k little trigger is actually going to come super handy here. It actually can make a difference between a one-card guard.
Okay, not to mention that G being able to go back down to 4 damage means that G would be able to safely take
enough.
one of the rear guards.
Are they going to have enough?
I think that's enough. I'm guessing.
I can't tell. Because that 5k might make the difference here.
I'm guessing Kogze has a perfect guard here.
Okay.
Oh?
Okay. Oh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
yeah.
should be enough. That's
Okay, that's a lot of
that's
triggers.
50k, so that's enough.
And
That
other
is-
side is... Wow!
Oh, 3 triggers now to guard.
Woo!
Okay.
Oh my gosh. We know about that persona in hand too, so...
No,
I think
saw
we
the
discarded the persona for
Oh,
PG.
right. Okay, smart, because honestly, it's pretty scary. Oh my
Oh,
gosh!
just going for that.
What?
6 meteors?
They're just
Oh my
going
god, the heal triggers, attack,
the
let's...
heels.
Front trigger for
And we
game,
need a
baby.
front here. We need a front here. No, I think all the fronts are out.
No, all the fronts
I
are out,
see.
but there's still crits. There's
there
still
are
crits.
still crits. Oh my gosh! Are there any
crits?
triggers left in there?
5 crits out.
There might be like one trigger left.
Yeah, there's 1 crit left. 1 crit
Oh
left.
my
One
gosh!
crit left. Okay, 1 crit left.
Just one trigger. I'm so
One crit left.
scared.
Being able to put the crit and power on both of the heal triggers.
Oh
Get
my
in there.
gosh.
Everything has a crit. Come on, baby. This is how we do it. Gravidia World.
Gravidia World
Yellow
ending on
cards.
double
Let's go,
heal
baby.
attacks. Oh my gosh! I am on the edge of my seat because there's no way. There's no way G can guard both. I mean, they can. They should be able to guard both. They hit double. They hit two. They have 2 triggers in hand. They should be
They
able to guard
have
both.
they
Front
have
heals.
20k and 15k shield.
So
This
35k
is
shield
1 to
total.
pass right now, though, because it's
True.
So because
Oh my
a front and a
gosh.
heal means that if Kogze hits any trigger right
That's
here,
it.
that's it.
Wow, this is all coming down to a trigger. 3 cards left in deck. There's 2
Oh,
triggers. I think there's 2
60
triggers left. Whew.
Wait,
think
we
that-
know
66% chance.
Going for a 1 to pass here, if there's 2 triggers left and 3 cards, there's a 100% chance of hitting a trigger. So
If
going
there's
for
2
a-
triggers left in deck.
if there is. We know at
Going
least
for a 1
one.
to pass. We're going for a 1 to pass means that it is guaranteed to hit. You have to go
Wow.
for more than a 1 to pass.
Wow.
But remember, G's still, we know that I don't think we've seen G's over
The
trigger.
OT.
We
You're
haven't
right.
seen G's over
Oh
trigger.
my gosh, you're right.
The bailout button.
This is
This is no
No guard.
Oh
What?
my god.
There's a shoulder.
Oh,
There's a
that's
crit.
the crit. Oh
Put
my
everything
gosh.
on Vigor.
Everything is
Everything on
going.
Vigor. That's a
Oh
huge.
my, that's a huge trigger. What?
It doesn't go
Oh
off though.
my god. Oh.
All right, 6 damage. Okay, it's. I think this is 4 damage. This is 4 damage.
Yeah. This is,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Oh, yeah, and that
Wow.
is the game. Kaze gonna be able to bring it
Whoa.
home for the homies all back in the end. Oh, what a great game! All down to
Where's
the
the
wire.
OT?
ball.
The OT was
Oh,
second
down
to the
2
bottom.
crits left in deck.
Oh my gosh.
2 crits left in deck. It didn't matter. A crit
Oh.
was gonna happen. 1-2 pass would have been a
Wow.
no guard.
Wow. What a game. What a
Oh.
final.
Oh, I'm so dizzy. I'm dizzy. My head hurts. Oh. Oh. I'm
I
speechless.
don't even know what to say. Yeah, exactly.
Audience did not see it, but when that crit was hit, I leapt out of my seat.
Oh my god.
I can't even like process what just happened. Imagine being the champion of NA by saying I put down 2 heal triggers, I had 3 cards left in deck, and I had to hit a trigger to win.
Heal triggers are what people use to like defend themselves. Nah, heal triggers are the one I use to kill you with. Let's go. Oh
Wow.
my goodness. What a game to end things off on. Oh.
Wow, imagine having that many triggers in hand to guard all that too. That was insane. I actually thought that was gonna be like game right there when that 40k pretty much front just happened there, and then like surviving, calling down 2 more triggers and still
So
having
cool.
triggers in deck. We saw like 8 triggers go through for Kai's side, like that just from that like that little 5-minute increment. Wow,
Oh my
I'm like
God.
actually tearing up. Like I don't know how to feel right now.
I can't wipe this smile off my face. That was the most Vanguard game that I've ever seen. Like
It was beautiful. It was
see-
actually
like,
beautiful.
Seeing the Shergo on the last draft check as well, like I was sitting here
that's
like,
right.
I was like, no, Cogs is holding the Shergo because we're gonna be able to refill our deck. Yeah, it's gonna like decompress our deck, but we are gonna be able to continue playing the game.
Yep.
No Shergo, 2 heal triggers. Let's go.
Well, if they actually Persona Road, they would have been able to Shergo and send the
They
meteors
would
back
have
to
been
deck.
able to draw the
So
Shergo.
either way, they actually would have had it. Like, because even if they say they kept the Persona in hand, they would have Persona, they would have drawn to the Shergo, and then they could have just sent back the meteors to deck, thus making that Shergo huge, by the way, and not be blockable. So either way, but ending it like that was way better though. That was a way better ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow.
This was so good. Just to recap everything that happened today. In our first top 8, we saw Gravidia World versus Kyrie. If anything, this is what we would call like the worldwide Bushiroad Rumble Online, because we saw Gravidia World in all 3 games. In the next game, we saw Adrian playing Bruce against Gravidia World. And in the finals, we saw Gravidia World versus Gravidia World. What a way to really show its dominance. Like, I had my doubts. I honestly had my doubts. I was like, maybe Gravidia World's kind of falling off. Maybe the new Grade 4s are like what was needed to push it out of the meta. Maybe Set 5 with the new glitters could have pushed it out of the meta. Maybe the new Fescalay stuff pushed it out of the meta. But no, I've been proven wrong. Gravidia World is here to stay, baby. Space Mommy all the way.
Let's go, Space Mommy. Honestly, Gravidia World has been one of the best decks this entire time, and it's just been on and off depending on what Grade 4s are doing. I think Magnolia falling off the meta has really made Gravidia just stand out better, because both those decks can go to deck out really easily, and Gravidia just can't kill Magnolia fast enough. So Magnolia falling off definitely gave Gravidia that spotlight again.
Yeah, for sure. Any closing thoughts for you, Peter?
Man, what a finals! Wow. Oh.
That's all I can really say. Like, we alluded to, okay, so one player has that resource management in the Bulba Mine, and one player has like the deck management in the deck refreshers. Nothing really came out. It really did come down to good and honest Vanguard.
Yep.
Hit face, flip the yellow cards. Whoever flips more of the triggers wins. That's really what it came down to, and came down to the wire. G being able to stay in the game for that long, getting that heal trigger, very good as well. Just, I don't know what else to say. Like, that was Vanguard. That's Vanguard.
Yep. Congratulations, by the way, to all the players that were able to participate and that entered today. It was quite a show for all 3 matches that we saw. It was just beautiful.
I'm speechless. Like, all the games we got today were like so fun to watch. Like, everybody, I don't think in any of these matches we saw the non-Gravidia player or like even the Gravidia player into the matchup. I don't think we saw any like disrespect. Like, we all realized, okay, Baka Burrito is a threat. I will never put more than 2 rear guards down, because I know the moment I do, that is 1 more crit I have to deal with. That could be game. I'm not gonna do this. So like, all these players, like, they showed off their high-tier quality gameplay, top-tier caliber understanding of the game and the meta. It was just so good. Honest to good. Vanguard. Hit face. Let's go, baby.
Yep.
Now, with all of our enthusiasm and all of us, like, winding down from the tension max of that game, we do have your champion, Kogze, my boy Kogze, gonna be with us for a player interview. We're gonna send you to a quick break as we get this set up. We will see you soon, and you guys will see Kogze soon.
All right. Welcome back to Bushiroad Rumble Online. What a great ending to NA Overdress Cardfight Vanguard formats. Whew, how do you guys feel?
My adrenaline is slowly seeping downwards. I'm finally being able to calm down a bit after how exciting that last game was. I can't imagine. That was probably like the most anime game I have seen, like especially in a mirror match. We saw like 2 different ideologies, but in the end, it really came down to back to basics card game, back to basics Cardfight Vanguard. Flip the top card of your deck. Power to Vanguard. Crit to Vanguard. That's how we do it. What about you, Peter? How you feeling?
Man, I'm also finally coming down from that, but wow. my heart is still racing from that finals. That was so stressful for me as well. You know what I mean? Of like where it's really close and you're like, man, if one of these players makes a mistake, they're done for. And neither one made a mistake. That was the big thing. Even though it took a while for Kagze to actually like, he didn't even draw the card that would have made like a big difference in the matchup. So he had to like just play it to like his outs there. Just go, okay, I don't have the thing that differentiates our deck. Actually, neither player saw the card that differentiates their decks.
Yep.
That card just stayed hidden on both players' side the entire time. So it's just like, okay, well, I guess I am just playing regular Gravidia then.
Exactly.
Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look and review Kagze's journey as he became your Grand Champion for Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022 for the D standard format. Let's take a look at the bracket one last time. So, our top 8 players, Adrian Barber versus the Gumi guy. Adrian was able to take that victory and head on to semifinals. On the other side of things, we had Kisa versus G, and there G was able to take it to the semifinals as well, meeting up with Adrian Barber there. On the bottom half of our top 8, we had Kagze versus Donovan. Kagze being able to use the Meteor technique to take out the Bastion's forces. Gonna go ahead and go to the semifinals there. And in our last bracket, we had Liu versus Yusha. Yusha being able to play Kairi over Liu's Meteor deck as well, and meeting Kagze in their semifinals. Peter, give me a rundown on the semifinals.
Absolutely. And in the semifinals, we saw on stream Adrian Barber lost to G through deck out. Man, that was a close one. G almost won by deck out twice if there was anything left to guard against that Vanguard swing. So, man, that was close. But also, Kagze, our champion, did off-stream beat Yusha. And, man, that was... that was a heart-racing... Everything about this is heart-racing. Orange, give us the finals.
And then finals, we had G versus Kagze, and leading to Kagze being our winner. And it was Gravidia World versus Gravidia World. I know, crazy. We speculated and thought Gravidia World would win, and Gravidia World won. So that was very, very overall an amazing end to quite an amazing 2-day events. Very well played from everybody, and yeah. That's pretty much it, and we're just going to be waiting to be able to talk to our champion here shortly, and go into that shortly here. Oh, actually, we can go into it right now. Let's go ahead and meet our champion. Let's go talk.
Introducing your champion of Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022, Kagze, my son.
Hello, daughters. Oh, shit. Hello, dad. Hello.
Oh, Kagze, once again, congratulations on your victory today. Start us off, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling very great at now. That last match was like very crazy. Yeah, 3 card deck and 2 triggers, so like, how many cards you deck? Did you check, did you continue now? No, you dead.
Alright, Orange, take us off.
All right, hello. Pleasure to meet
Hello.
you. Hello. So we're gonna ask a couple questions here. Why did you choose Gravidia World specifically?
Yeah, I don't have reasons to choose specifically because this deck I borrowed from my friends to play because he said that he want to flex the orders, the on meteorites he got.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shiny meteors, let's go.
Hey, shiny is pretty.
Okay. So my question for you, Kagze, is you played Gravidia World. Knowing that you were playing Gravidia World, what decks were you scared of and why?
I scared almost like Nirvana's most because it had a very high powers when on the great force. When your Espadias attacks with like 58 to 1, it's very big. I pretty scared that. VGE on, and if I remember right, they almost give me no CBs on my first turn retreat, so yeah, lot to lose.
Good to hear. Yeah, those Nirvana swinging 58. That's sometimes PG or GG.
Yes.
All right, Peter, take us up.
Oh, and my question is, so you borrowed the deck from your friend. Did you do any preparation with this beforehand, or did you just go into this just out and like sort of just dropped into the water and just being told swim?
Yes, I drop in holy water.
So no preparation?
Yes, almost no. If I can say, yeah, almost no.
Wow.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Through raw determination of skill.
On skill.
Oh, skill, baby.
Do you plan on entering the Bushiroad Championships, and are you planning on maybe taking this deck or maybe trying something else out?
Yes, I was trying to think about Shaman King decks. Yeah,
Oh.
I was. Yeah, especially Yo decks. I like to play it when there's now on JBs.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And so my question for you, my second and last question,
Yes.
in your deck, what one card do you want to attribute most of your victories to? Like, what is the one card that really stuck out to you?
Okay. The most one card that is the Crocodile, Papukai.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
Okay.
him. Because of him, I can gain a lot of powers, and yeah, so pretty big winner on him on the personalized on like 38. So magic numbers like that.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that, guys? Respect your win con. Those cards right there, the Baka Burrito, is very important to keep a hold of.
Yes.
Magic numbers.
Yes.
And I want to know, is there anything that you would have wanted to change maybe? Did you make any, like, either any deck choice, like any card choices maybe, or even just plays that you might have wanted to change throughout the course of the tournament?
If I can choose to change, I can maybe I will choose bitter else. Yeah, maybe I can change one or two bitter else from deck to Bobamai because yeah, Bobamai I think it's a lot more better for like a recent deck and some deck like to Loxy means on the first.
Mm-hmm. And before we wrap up the interview here, Kogze, do you have any shout outs you want to give?
Yes, I shout out to my locals on Ho Chi Minh City and FDK shops, all of my NDGs members that help me pro this deck and visit for me. Especially Landon, if like just that he stay awake with me like 5 a.m. to say to me that you got to play this, you got to play this thing.
All right, everybody. Once again, give a big congratulations to our champion, Kogze. And that about sums up the tournament. We're going to head it back to our casters now as Kogze winds down, lets the adrenaline flow out of his body, and it's just going to be us three and you guys once more time. And that's that. That's the rest of Vanguard for Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022. I think it was a great journey these last 4 weeks. We had 1 week of a break, but we went through 3 great formats. We got to see some incredibly high-packed action in these small weekends. Like being able to see like a lot of these familiar names keep popping up. Like these are like very like prominent community members, prominent players that like have really started to build a story through Bushiroad Rumble Online that sometimes you wouldn't even meet through BCSs because of like our regional differences. And Bushiroad Rumble Online is just a very nice way of like interconnecting everyone into like a same tournament. Orange, give me some thoughts.
I completely agree. I think these have been very amazing. Just a lot of crazy stuff has been happening from format to format to format, and it's been really nice to be able to watch it all and kind of just sit here and like really even take in like how much the meta has shifted between all the new click collections dropping, festival collections dropping. Just we've had a lot of new cards drop in the last like couple months, so it's been great to be able to actually see it all in action. Like whether it's through the new heals, or we had the new strides, or we had new cards coming through. Just anywhere we've seen kind of like something new or ban lists come through, which also adjusted the meta, so we're kind of able to see a lot going on. So it's been really exciting, and I'm excited to see Weiss. Weiss is coming up, so don't forget about Weiss. But I am excited to see Weiss as it's actually becoming an interesting card game to me. So there's also that. Peter, anything?
I mean, like, I think everyone that has heard me commentate before can expect what I'm going to say at the end of the stream. Thanking my locals. Remember to
Yeah.
thank your locals too, because nobody gets good on their own. You have to have a good community to bring you up as well, and good players bring up the rest of their community in addition. So thank you to Curio Cavern, Centerville, and Springfield. Thank you to Superstar Card Gaming. Thank you to Gritty Goblin Games. Thank you to Guild Gaming for both Fair Oaks and Potomac Mills. And thank you to Hashtag Gaming Arena. They are soon going to get a Vanguard local. So thank you to all those locals, because without all of you, I wouldn't be knowing enough about the game to be at the point where I could commentate.
And before we wrap up here, I just want to read off some hashtag BRO 2022 tweets. I have an @OuterOrange tweeting, "Imagine being at 0 damage as Bruce on Final Rush, LMAO, hashtag BRO 2022. Have no idea who that is, but great tweet. And I also have from a yellow card VG, what the F was that finals, hashtag BRO 2022, to just really talk about how crazy the finals was. So awesome, so amazing. And finally, I want to thank the staff. I want to thank production. Thank you to our in-ear producer, Mondo, for all that we've been doing over the weekend for you guys. Peter, any other thanks besides your locals?
I guess thank you to my parents. Sort of put me on the spot there. I guess thank you to, I guess, just generally, also Vision as well for providing first my start to Vanguard commentary. I know that they're great. So
I have some more.
Yeah. Orange?
I want to go on with you. Thank you to Vision for also starting my commentary, because that's actually where I started commentating ever. My first ever commentating thing would happen there. And also, I personally want to thank all the people that have been personally messaging me, telling me about, you know, how I'm doing, even in like commentary, and just giving me good luck. There's been a lot of people that have been messaging me throughout the last couple of days that just want to let you know. Obviously, I've read your stuff because I responded, but thank you so much for keeping me going, keeping me here. To all the people watching, thank you for being here with us, and it's been a really great journey. It's just being here, so thank you so much, everyone. And Bushiroad for literally being here, so thank you, Bushiroad, for being Bushiroad.
And finally, thank you to the players, and thank you for the judges for your time in the tournament. Once again, this has been Toku from Yellow Card Vanguard. I am joined by
Outer Orange, and you can find my stuff here, and you can find it on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and all those kind of things. If you want some oranges in your life, I'll maybe provide some to you. So yeah, you can do that. And then Peter.
Yeah, I'm Peter. You can find me on specifically Twitter, and that's it.
You can find Peter on Peter.
This has been Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022, and we are out.
Bye, guys. Bye, 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 bye.